हेलो दोस्तों, स्वागत है आप लोगों का हमारी एक और नई वीडियो में। जहां पर आज हम आप लोगों के लिए एक बार फिर से एक नई मूवी लेकर के आए हैं, जो इस समय पे काफ़ी ज़्यादा पसंद की जा रही है और बहुत ही शानदार ये फिल्म है, जिसका नाम मनशंकर वरप्रसाद गारू है, जो एक बेहतरीन तेलुगु सिनेमा की शानदार एक्शन कॉमेडी से भरी हुई फिल्म है, जिसको अभी 2026 में रिलीज़ कराया हुआ है। और इस फ़िल्म का जो डायरेक्शन है वो काफ़ी बढ़िया रहा है। फ़िल्म को ऑडियंस की तरफ से काफ़ी अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स मिला है और फ़िल्म का प्रेजेंटेशन भी काफ़ी बढ़िया किया गया है। ऐसे में अगर आप लोगों ने इस फ़िल्म को अभी तक नहीं देखा है और आप लोग इस फ़िल्म को पूरी तरह से जो है एंजॉय करना चाहते हैं, तो इस वीडियो में मैं आप लोगों को बताने वाला हूँ कि आप लोगों को ये फ़िल्म कहाँ पर देखने को मिलने वाली है और आप लोग इस फ़िल्म को किस प्रकार से जाकर के एंजॉय कर सकते हैं, उसके बारे में बात करने वाले हैं। तो वीडियो में काफ़ी ज़्यादा मज़ा आने वाला है और बहुत ही ज़्यादा बेहतरीन ये वीडियो रहने वाली है। इस वीडियो में मैं आप लोगों को इस ड्रामे की जो स्टारिंग कास्ट है, उनके बारे में भी मैं आप लोगों को बहुत ही बढ़िया तरीके से सारी जानकारी और सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन देने वाला हूँ। और आप लोगों को इस फ़िल्म के बजट, इस फ़िल्म के कलेक्शन और इस फ़िल्म की जो स्टारिंग कास्ट है और इस फ़िल्म का जो रिव्यू जो ऑडियंस की तरफ से मिला है, वो कैसा रहा है और किस प्रकार का अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स है, वो हमें ऑल ओवर देखने को मिला है। इन सभी सवालों के बारे में मैं आप लोगों को इस वीडियो में बताने वाला हूँ। तो काफ़ी कमाल का ये वीडियो रहने वाला है। आप लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप लोग वीडियो में स्टार्टिंग से लेकर के आखिरी तक बने रहिएगा, जहाँ पर मैं आप लोगों के साथ में सारी चीज़ों को पॉइंट टू पॉइंट डिस्कस करने वाला हूँ। जहाँ पर इस फ़िल्म की जो टाइम ड्यूरेशन है वो कितने रहने वाली है और कौन से ओटीटी प्लेटफ़ॉर्म पर इस फ़िल्म को रिलीज़ कराया हुआ है और अभी आप लोग इस फ़िल्म को कौन-कौन सी लैंग्वेज में देख सकते हैं, इनके बारे में आप लोगों को इस वीडियो में बताने वाला हूँ। फ़िल्म मनशंकर वरप्रसाद गारू, जो एक तेलुगु लैंग्वेज की शानदार फ़िल्म है, जिसको दोस्तों अगर कहें तो दोस्तों इस फ़िल्म का नाम मनशंकरा वरप्रसाद गारू भी कह सकते हो, या यूँ कहें कि दोस्तों इसका हिंदी में अगर मतलब बताऊँ मैं आप लोगों को, तो इसका मतलब होता है हमारे श्री शंकरा वरप्रसाद। यानी इस फ़िल्म को जो डायरेक्शन और जो राइटिंग जो इस फ़िल्म का जो हमें देखने को मिला है, वो अनिल रविपूड़ी सर की तरफ से देखने को मिला है, जो तेलुगु सिनेमा में अपने काम के लिए काफ़ी ज़्यादा जाने जाते हैं और काफ़ी ज़्यादा फेमस रहे हैं। जिनका जो कॉमेडी है वो काफ़ी अच्छी इनकी अभी तक फ़िल्में हमें देखने को मिली है। जहाँ पर इनकी जो पटास फ़िल्म आई थी 2015 की, जो कॉमेडी और एक्शन से भरपूर थी, वो काफ़ी कमाल की फ़िल्म रही थी। जिसने दोस्तों 2015 में तेलुगु सिनेमा की बेस्ट फ़िल्म जो है निकल के आई थी। इसके अलावा दोस्तों मैं आप लोगों को बताऊँ तो दोस्तों तेलुगु सिनेमा की मनशंकरा वरप्रसाद गारू भी एक एक्शन कॉमेडी से भरी हुई एक शानदार उसी फ़िल्म की तरह ये फ़िल्म है, जो 2015 में हमें देखने को मिली थी, जो एक शानदार और बेहतरीन फ़िल्म भी हमें देखने को। फ़िल्म का जो प्रोडक्शन है वो दोस्तों उसको बनाने में जो मदद की गई थी, वो जो इसका यूँ कहें कि दोस्तों इसका निर्माण जो है वो साहू गरपति की तरफ से किया गया था। साहू गरापति यूँ कह सकते हैं, या इनके साथ में हमें सुष्मिता कोनिडेला भी हमें इसमें जो है फ़िल्म का निर्माण करने में हमें देखने को मिली थी, जिन्हों की वजह से ये फ़िल्म हमें एक साथ हमें देखने को मिली थी। और इसमें जो मेन लीड रोल में जो एक्टर हमें देखने को मिले हैं, वो हमें चिरंजीवी देखने को मिले हैं। चिरंजीवी इस फ़िल्म के मुख्य भूमिका में हमें महत्वपूर्ण अभिनय करते हुए हमें देखने को मिले, जिनका परफॉर्मेंस काफ़ी शानदार है और बेहतरीन अभिनय हमें इस फ़िल्म में ये करते हुए देखने को मिले हैं, जिनका काम आप लोगों को काफ़ी ज़्यादा पसंद आता हुआ हमें देखने को मिलेगा। ऑल ओवर कहें दोस्तों चिरंजीवी सर जो है तेलुगु सिनेमा के वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एक्टरों में से एक रहे हैं, जिनको दोस्तों मेगा स्टार के नाम से भी जाना जाता है। और दोस्तों ये इंडियन तमिल सिनेमा सॉरी तेलुगु सिनेमा में दोस्तों इनका सबसे अधिक प्रभाव हमें देखने को मिला है। भारतीय सिनेमा में भी इनका काफ़ी ज़्यादा अच्छा प्रभाव हमें देखने को मिला है। इनको दोस्तों तेलुगु सिनेमा में इंडस्ट्री हिट के रिकॉर्ड देने के नाम से भी इनको जो है जाना जाता है, जिनका काम काफ़ी ज़्यादा पसंद किया जाता है। इनके साथ में हमें और भी एक्टर हमें देखने को मिले हैं, जहाँ पर हमें चिरंजीवी सर के साथ में वेंकटेश सर भी हमें देखने को मिले हैं। वेंकटेश सर का काम काफ़ी कमाल का है और बहुत ही ज़्यादा बेहतरीन अभिनय हमें ऑल ओवर हमें देखने को मिला है। वेंकटेश सर और चिरंजीवी सर की परफॉर्मेंस दोनों का एक साथ में आना वाकई में दोस्तों बहुत ही कमाल की बात है। और इनकी परफॉर्मेंस दोस्तों लोगों के दिलों को छू जाती है। जहाँ पर इनकी जो परफॉर्मेंस है वो ऑडियंस को थिएटर में झूमने को मजबूर कर रही है। यहाँ दोस्तों यूँ कहे कि दोस्तों इसमें वेंकटेश सर का अब तक का दोस्तों उनकी लाइफ का सबसे बेहतरीन एक्टिंग परफॉर्मेंस हमें ऑल ओवर हमें देखने को मिली थी। जहाँ पर आप लोगों को दोस्तों बताऊँ तो दोस्तों गरापति और जो गरापति सर है उन्होंने दोस्तों चिरंजीवी और वेंकटेश को साथ में लाने का ये जो प्रयास किया गया वो काफ़ी बढ़िया किया गया और काफ़ी शानदार इनका हमें जो ये साथ है वो अच्छा देखने को मिला भी है। वेंकटेश सर के साथ में हमें इसमें नयनतारा भी हमें देखने को मिली है, जहाँ पर चिरंजीवी सर के साथ में इनकी केमिस्ट्री काफ़ी बढ़िया हमें देखने को मिली है और इनकी परफॉर्मेंस बहुत ही कमाल की हमें देखने को मिली है। फोर्ब्स इंडिया की सेलिब्रिटी की लिस्ट में भी दोस्तों नयनतारा का नाम काफ़ी बढ़िया हमें जो है पहले से ही देखने को मिलता हुआ आ रहा है। और इसके साथ में हमें कैथरीन ट्रेसा भी हमें देखने को मिली है, क्योंकि दोस्तों नयनतारा और कैथरीन ट्रेसा भी बहुत ही शानदार अच्छे एक्ट्रेस है जिनकी भी परफॉर्मेंस काफ़ी बढ़िया हमें ऑल ओवर देखने को मिलती हुई नज़र आ जाती है, जिनका काम आप लोगों को वाक़ई में बहुत ही कमाल का लगता है। जहाँ पर इस ये जो फ़िल्म है इसकी कहानी में हमें शंकरा वर प्रसाद के इर्द-गिर्द घूमती हुई दिखाई देती है, जो एक राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा अधिकारी है और अपनी अलग रह रही पत्नी और बच्चों की रक्षा करना चाहता है, क्योंकि वह इसे उनके साथ में वो उन्हें जो है दोबारा से मिलाने का प्रयास करता हुआ एक मौका ढूँढता है। जहाँ पर अगर बात की जाए तो दोस्तों इस फ़िल्म का जो जिस प्रकार की ये फ़िल्म है, फ़िल्म की जो मेन शूटिंग है वो दोस्तों 23 मई 2024 को शुरू हुई थी, जहाँ पर हैदराबाद, केरल, मसूरी, देहरादून में फ़िल्म की शूटिंग को कराया गया था और फ़िल्म की शूटिंग दिसंबर 2025 तक चली थी। फ़िल्म का जो म्यूज़िक रहा था वो दोस्तों बिम्स सिसिलियो ने तैयार करवाया था, जिन्होंने काफ़ी बढ़िया तरीके से फ़िल्म में म्यूज़िक देने का काम किया है और इनके गाने इस फ़िल्म में दोस्तों 4 चाँद लगाने का काम करते हैं। और दोस्तों इस फ़िल्म में जो आइटम्स होंगे वो दोस्तों ऑडियंस को झूमने पर मजबूर कर रहे हैं। जहाँ पर इस फ़िल्म के बाकी के जो गाने हैं वो भी लव रोमांस से भरे हुए हैं, जहाँ पर वो भी आप लोगों को काफ़ी ज़्यादा पसंद आते हुए देखने को मिलेंगे। और इस फ़िल्म का जो सिनेमेटोग्राफर का काम है वो समीर रेड्डी सर की तरफ से किया गया है, जो काफ़ी कमाल का और बेहतरीन सिनेमेटोग्राफर देने में हमेशा ही आगे रहे हैं। और तेलुगु सिनेमा की बात हो चाहे इनकी और सिनेमा चाहे हिंदी सिनेमा हो या तमिल सिनेमा हो या हॉलीवुड सिनेमा हो, इनका जो सिनेमेटोग्राफ का काम है ये हर जगह छाया हुआ है और इनके परफॉर्मेंस के चर्चे चारों तरफ जो है छाए हुए हैं। और इस फ़िल्म का जो एडिटिंग का काम है वो तमन्नी राजू की तरफ से किया गया है, जिन्होंने काफ़ी बढ़िया तरीके से इस फ़िल्म में म्यूज़िक देने का सॉरी इसे एडिटिंग का करने का काम किया गया है। फ़िल्म को जो प्रोड्यूस करने का काम किया गया है वो दोस्तों साइन स्क्रीन और गोल्ड बॉक्स एंटरटेनमेंट ने मिलकर इस फ़िल्म को प्रोड्यूस कराने में मदद की है और इन्होंने इस फ़िल्म को प्रोड्यूस कराया गया है। जहाँ पर फ़िल्म की रिलीज़ डेट की बात की जाए तो दोस्तों 12 जनवरी को इस फ़िल्म को 2024 को इस फ़िल्म को सिनेमाघरों में लाया गया था और ये फ़िल्म सिनेमाघरों में जब रिलीज़ हुई थी तो दोस्तों इस फ़िल्म को 2 घंटे और 45 मिनट के टाइम लेंथ के साथ में इस फ़िल्म को बताया भी गया था और ये फ़िल्म जो है 2 घंटे 45 मिनट के साथ में ये फ़िल्म रिलीज़ भी हुई थी। हालाँकि रूमर्स का मानना है और कहना है कि इस फ़िल्म की जो लेंथ है वो थोड़ी और ज़्यादा थी और सेंसर बोर्ड के कुछ चीज़ों की वजह से इस फ़िल्म को जो पूरी तरह से वहाँ पर रिलीज़ नहीं कराया गया था और इस फ़िल्म को अब जब ओटीटी पर इस फ़िल्म को रिलीज़ कराया जाएगा, तो इस फ़िल्म की जो पूरी जो टाइम लेंथ है, वो लगभग हमें 3 घंटे की देखने को मिल सकती है। जहाँ पर तेलुगु सिनेमा की ये फ़िल्म दोस्तों साल 2026 की सबसे बड़ी लेंथी टाइम ड्यूरेशन के साथ में रिलीज़ होने वाली फ़िल्म भी है और 200 करोड़ रुपए के बजट के साथ में बनी ये फ़िल्म, जहाँ पर इस फ़िल्म का जो कलेक्शन रहा था, वो दोस्तों 400 करोड़ रुपए का रहा था। यानी कि दोस्तों फ़िल्म ने दोस्तों अपने बजट को तो रिकवर किया ही साथ में इस फ़िल्म ने बॉक्स ऑफिस पर झंडे गाड़ दिए थे। यानी ये फ़िल्म बॉक्स ऑफिस पर दोस्तों एक सुपर हिट फ़िल्म साबित हुई थी और इस फ़िल्म ने दोस्तों काफ़ी बड़े-बड़े रिकॉर्ड भी अपने नाम किए 2026 में, जहाँ पर दोस्तों ये फ़िल्म एक शानदार फ़िल्म रही थी और दोस्तों ये फ़िल्म संक्रांति की वस्तुनम जो फ़िल्म आई थी 2025 में, उसके बाद में अनिल रविपुडी सर ने जो चिरंजीवी सर है तभी इनको जो है इसकी जो कहानी है ये सुना दी थी और उसके बाद में से ही दोस्तों 2025 में मेगा 157 सर की ये दोस्तों एक शानदार फ़िल्म साबित रही है, जिसमें नयनतारा को चिरंजीवी के साथ में फर्स्ट कार्ड के साथ में ही उनको जो है अनाउंस कर दिया गया था और इनका काम तो दोस्तों आप लोगों को काफ़ी ज़्यादा पसंद आता हुआ हमें ऑल ओवर देखने को मिला ही है, जहाँ पर इनका काम ऑडियंस को वाक़ई में बहुत ही पसंद भी आया है। तो ऐसे में आप लोगों को इस कमाल की और इस बेहतरीन और इस खूबसूरत सी फ़िल्म को मिस बिल्कुल भी नहीं करना चाहिए। इस फ़िल्म का जो शूटिंग है और इस फ़िल्म की जो प्रेज़ेंटेशन है वो दोस्तों बहुत ही कमाल के तरीके से की गई है, जो आप लोगों को बहुत ही ज़्यादा पसंद आती हुई है। फ़िल्म की जो शूटिंग है वो दोस्तों आप लोगों को लगभग ज़्यादातर मुंबई में देखने को मिलती है, जहाँ पर आप लोगों को इस फ़िल्म का जो केंद्र है वो हमें इस फ़िल्म में देखने को मिलता हुआ नज़र आता है। इस फ़िल्म में अगर मैं बताऊँ आप लोगों को तो दोस्तों नेशनल सिक्योरिटी जो फ़ोर्स है उनकी जो अधिकारी इस फ़िल्म में वो शंकरा वरा प्रसाद को शशि रेखा से प्रेम हो जाता है। उनका उनके बारे में उनकी लव स्टोरी दिखाई जाती है और वह उससे विवाह भी कर लेते हैं और प्रसाद और उनके जो ससुर वाले उनके बीच में कुछ तानाबानी होती है वहाँ पर और इस प्रकार से दोस्तों ये फ़िल्म बहुत ही ज़्यादा शानदार कॉमेडी के साथ में आगे बढ़ती हुई दिखाई देती है। लेकिन बीच में ये फ़िल्म अपना क्लाइमैक्स में दोस्तों जिस प्रकार का प्रेज़ेंटेशन देती है वो दोस्तों वाक़ई में बहुत ही कमाल का रहता है और इस फ़िल्म की जो एंडिंग है वो दोस्तों काफ़ी अमेज़िंग है और आप लोगों को कुछ स्पॉइलर भी देखने को मिलता है एंडिंग में, तो वो आप लोगों की जो एक्साइटमेंट है वो और भी ज़्यादा बढ़ा देते हैं। तो ऐसे में आप लोगों को इस कमाल की और इस बेहतरीन मानाशंकर वरप्रसाद गारू फ़िल्म को आप लोगों को डेफ़िनेटली देखना चाहिए और एन्जॉय करना चाहिए। ये फ़िल्म आप लोगों को डेफ़िनेटली दोस्तों इस समय पे दोस्तों देखने को मिल रही है, जहाँ पर आप लोग इस फ़िल्म को जा कर के देख सकते हो। इस फ़िल्म को आप लोगों को दोस्तों जी5 पर देख लेना चाहिए, जहाँ पर इस फ़िल्म को दोस्तों 11 फरवरी को ही इस फ़िल्म का प्रीमियम करा दिया गया था। यानी कि दोस्तों इस फ़िल्म की जो राइट्स है वो ओटीटी राइट्स, डिजिटल स्ट्रीमिंग जो राइट्स है वो दोस्तों जी5 के पास में है। तो इस फ़िल्म को जी5 पर रिलीज़ करा दिया गया है और इस फ़िल्म को वहाँ पर तेलुगु लैंग्वेज में रिलीज़ कराया हुआ है। तो अगर आप लोगों ने तेलुगु लैंग्वेज में इस फ़िल्म को देखना है तो आप लोग वहाँ पर इस फ़िल्म को तेलुगु प्रीमियम में आप लोगों को वहाँ पर देखने को मिल जाएगी। बाकी लैंग्वेज में भी ये फ़िल्म वहाँ पर है तो आप लोग वहाँ पर जाकर के देख सकते हैं कि आप लोगों को ये फ़िल्म कौन-कौन से लैंग्वेज में वहाँ पर आप लोगों को इस समय पर देखने को मिल रही है। तो इस फ़िल्म को आप लोगों को मिस बिल्कुल नहीं करना चाहिए और इस फ़िल्म का इस फ़िल्म का जो शानदार जो तरीके से इस फ़िल्म को रिलीज़ कराया हुआ है वो आप लोगों को डेफ़िनेटली आप लोगों को देखना चाहिए, जिसको आप लोगों को डेफ़िनेटली एक बार एन्जॉय करना चाहिए दोस्तों। थैंक यू।
National Security Guard officer Shankara Vera Prasad falls deeply in love with Sasreka, and the two soon marry. Their happiness, however, is short-lived, as a serious ideological conflict arises between Prasad and his father-in-law, GVR, a powerful and influential businessman. The tension between them escalates rapidly, creating an environment of constant friction, and ultimately forces Prasad and Sasreka to divorce. For 6 long years, Prasad remains separated from his wife and children, yearning for a chance to reunite with his family and make amends. Years later, Prasad discovers that his children are enrolled in a boarding school. Determined to reconnect with them, he assumes a new identity and takes up a position at the school as a physical training PT mentor. Alongside him, his loyal team members Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa support his mission. Slowly, Prasad begins to bond with his children, helping them with their struggles and earning their trust without revealing who he truly is. His presence starts to bring joy and guidance into their lives, bridging the gap created by years of separation. Eventually, Sasreka learns the truth about Prasad's new identity. Shocked at first, she decides to keep his secret from their children, allowing Prasad the opportunity to rebuild his relationship with them without disrupting their emotional stability. As Prasad continues his efforts, he not only strives to reconnect with his children but also works to redeem himself in the eyes of his family, confronting past mistakes and proving the depth of his love and dedication. As time passes, Prasad's bond with his children grows stronger. They begin to admire him for his guidance, discipline, and kindness, unaware that the PT mentor who inspires them is, in fact, their own father. His consistent presence slowly heals the emotional wounds caused by their long separation. Meanwhile, GVR remains oblivious to Prasad's true identity but continues to influence the children's lives through Sasreka, creating subtle obstacles that challenge Prasad's efforts. Despite the hurdles, Prasad's unwavering determination and the support of Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa help him navigate these challenges. He orchestrates situations that encourage his children to develop courage, integrity, and teamwork, subtly instilling G values he believes are essential for their growth. His careful balance of mentorship and fatherly affection allows him to remain close to them while maintaining his cover. However, the tension escalates when GVR grows suspicious of Prasad's sudden influence at the school. He begins to investigate the new PT mentor, determined to uncover his past and protect his family from what he perceives as an outside threat. Sasreka, caught between her loyalty to her father and her love for Prasad, struggles with how much to reveal. She silently supports Prasad's mission, trusting his intentions while attempting to shield her children from the storm brewing around them. Prasad now faces a dual challenge, continuing to strengthen his bond with his children and confronting GVR's growing hostility. Every move he makes is calculated, blending caution with courage, as he strives to unite his family once more while proving that love and perseverance can overcome even the deepest divides. The situation reaches a turning point when GVR, determined to expose Prasad, sets a trap to unmask him at the school. Tensions run high as Prasad anticipates the move and prepares to confront the challenge without alarming his children. In a dramatic sequence, Prasad's true identity is revealed, leaving the children stunned and emotional. The initial shock turns into a flood of feelings, confusion, anger, and longing, all of which Prasad patiently addresses with honesty and heartfelt explanations. Sasreka, witnessing her children's emotional turmoil, stands by Prasad, supporting his words and helping the family navigate this sudden upheaval. GVR, confronted with the unwavering love and dedication Prasad has shown, begins to see the sincerity of his intentions. He is forced to reevaluate his rigid beliefs and the harsh decisions that tore the family apart years ago. The tension between father-in-law and son-in-law becomes a test of understanding, forgiveness, and acceptance. Through a series of heartfelt conversations and courageous gestures, Prasad manages to earn GVR's reluctant respect. The children, who have already felt the warmth and care of their father, gradually embrace him fully, and a bond that had been broken by circumstances begins to heal. The family slowly comes together, recognizing that love, patience, and perseverance can overcome even the deepest divisions. In the end, Prasad not only redeems himself in the eyes of his family but also bridges the gap with GVR, proving that determination and compassion can reconcile even the most entrenched conflicts. The story closes with the family reunited, stronger and more connected than ever, as Prasad's journey from separation to reunion comes to a triumphant and emotional conclusion. After the family reunion, life begins to settle into a new rhythm. Prasad, now fully accepted by his children and slowly by GVR, continues his role at the school, not just as a PT mentor but as a guiding figure shaping young minds with discipline, courage, and empathy. His children, inspired by his resilience and love, grow closer to him each day, forming bonds that had once seemed impossible. After years of separation, Sasreka and Prasad, their relationship strengthened through trials and understanding, begin to rebuild their partnership, not just as co-parents but as companions united by shared respect and love. They navigate the delicate balance of family life while honoring the lessons learned from past conflicts. GVR, having witnessed Prasad's integrity and devotion, gradually softens, offering his support and even acknowledging Prasad as a worthy figure in the lives of his grandchildren. Prasad's team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remain close allies, their camaraderie proving invaluable both at the school and in personal challenges. Together, they celebrate small victories, from children's achievements to moments of family joy, illustrating that teamwork and loyalty extend beyond professional duty into life itself. The story concludes on a hopeful and uplifting note, emphasizing that love, perseverance, and courage can mend even the deepest divides. Prasad's journey, from heartbreak and separation to redemption and reunion, becomes a testament to the enduring power of family, the strength of personal integrity, and the triumph of patience and determination over adversity. National Security Guard officer Shankara Vera Prasad falls deeply in love with Sasareka, and they marry, envisioning a life filled with happiness. However, the joy is short-lived as Prasad clashes ideologically with his powerful father-in-law, GVR, a formidable businessman. The conflict intensifies to the point that Prasad and Sasareka are forced to divorce, leaving him separated from his wife and children for 6 long years, yearning for a chance to reunite with them. Years later, Prasad discovers that his children are studying at a boarding school. Determined to reconnect, he adopts a new identity and joins the school as a physical training PT mentor, assisted by his loyal team members Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa. Gradually, he forms a bond with his children, guiding and inspiring them without revealing his true identity. The children begin to admire and trust him, unaware that the mentor they look up to is their own father. Sasareka eventually discovers Prasad's secret but chooses to keep it hidden from their children, allowing him to continue building their relationship. Meanwhile, GVR grows suspicious of Prasad's presence and influence, creating subtle challenges that test his patience and ingenuity. Despite these obstacles, Prasad's determination and the support of his team help him navigate the tension, gradually earning the respect and love of his children. The conflict reaches a climax when GVR sets a trap to expose Prasad at the school. His true identity is revealed, leaving the children stunned. Through heartfelt conversations and honest confession, Prasad reassures them, and Sasareka supports him, guiding the family through the emotional upheaval. Witnessing Prasad's unwavering love and dedication, GVR begins to soften, acknowledging the sincerity of his intentions. In the end, the family is fully reunited. Prasad's bond with his children grows stronger than ever. His relationship with Sasareka is rebuilt on trust and love, and even GVR embraces him as a worthy figure in their lives. The story concludes with a celebration of family, forgiveness, and perseverance, showing that love and determination can heal even the deepest divides. Prasad's journey from separation to reunion becomes a testament to the enduring power of family and the triumph of courage, patience, and integrity. Separated from his wife and children for 6 long years, National Security Guard officer Shankara Vera Prasad assumes a new identity to secretly reconnect with his kids at their boarding school. Guided by loyalty, courage, and the support of his trusted team, he slowly wins their hearts while navigating the suspicions of his powerful father-in-law and the delicate balance with his ex-wife, Sasareka. When his true identity is finally revealed, Prasad must prove that love, perseverance, and integrity can overcome the deepest divides. A gripping tale of redemption, family bonds, and the unbreakable power of a father's love. After the family reunion, life gradually settles into a new rhythm, but Prasad knows that true reconciliation requires more than just being together. It requires trust, understanding, and consistent love. He continues his work at the boarding school, now openly as a father figure to his children, helping them face challenges both academic and personal. Each small victory, the children excelling in sports, showing courage in difficult situations, becomes a testament to his patience and guidance. Meanwhile, Prasad and Sasreka begin to rebuild their relationship, cautiously at first, learning to trust each other again after years of separation and misunderstandings. They share moments of laughter, advice, and quiet companionship, gradually rediscovering the love that initially brought them together. GVR, though still stern, starts to see the positive influence Prasad has on the children, and slowly his hostility softens into cautious respect. Despite this newfound harmony, Prasad faces challenges from outside the family. Rivalries and misunderstandings arise in the school environment, testing his skills as a mentor and protector. With the unwavering support of his team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, Prasad navigates these obstacles, ensuring his children's well-being while also proving his dedication to their safety and growth. As the story progresses, the children, fully aware of their father's sacrifices and love, begin to express their admiration and affection openly. The family bonds deepen, with shared experiences, heartfelt conversations, and small celebrations that rebuild the sense of belonging that had been missing for so long. Through every trial, Prasad's resilience, integrity, and patience serve as the glue holding the family together, showing that even the deepest wounds can heal with time and unwavering love. The film moves toward a climax where Prasad faces a final test, an external threat that challenges not only his children's safety but also the unity he has painstakingly restored. With courage, strategy, and teamwork, Prasad confronts the danger, protecting his family and proving that their bond is unbreakable. The story concludes with a triumphant and emotional resolution. The family, stronger and closer than ever, celebrates life together, a testament to love, redemption, and the enduring power of family. The story reaches its final test when a dangerous external threat emerges, a group targeting the school due to Prasad's past operations as a National Security Guard officer. The intruders infiltrate the campus, putting the children and staff at risk. Prasad immediately shifts into action, coordinating with his team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, to protect the students. The tension escalates as he uses his training, intelligence, and strategic skills to outmaneuver the attackers while keeping his own children safe. Amid the chaos, Prasad's children, inspired by his courage and guidance over the years, step up to help in small but critical ways, showcasing the values he has instilled in them. Their bravery and teamwork not only aid in fending off the threat but also highlight the depth of the father-child bond that has grown over time. Sasreka, though terrified, assists Prasad in ensuring the children's safety, proving that together, the family can face any adversity. The confrontation culminates in a tense showdown where Prasad directly faces the leader of the attackers. Using a combination of tactical skill, quick thinking, and sheer determination, he neutralizes the threat. The danger finally passes, leaving the school and the family safe. This victory symbolizes more than just survival. It represents the strength of trust, love, and unity that Prasad has rebuilt over the years. In the aftermath, the family shares a heartfelt moment of relief and celebration. GVR, witnessing the courage, selflessness, and integrity of Prasad firsthand, finally embraces him fully, acknowledging him as a true father and protector. The children, now confident and secure, openly express their love and admiration for their father, completing the emotional arc that began 6 years ago with separation and longing. The film concludes on a triumphant and uplifting note. Prasad, Sasreka, and their children stand together as a united family, surrounded by laughter, warmth, and mutual respect. His journey, from heartbreak and separation to redemption, reunion, and heroic protection, underscores the enduring power of love, patience, and perseverance. The story closes with the promise of a future where challenges are met together, and the bonds of family remain unshakable. Separated from his family for 6 long years, National Security Guard officer Shankara Vera Prasad assumes a new identity to reconnect with his children at their boarding school. With the help of his loyal team, he secretly guides and inspires them, slowly earning their trust while navigating the suspicions of his powerful father-in-law and the delicate balance with his ex-wife, Sasareka. When his identity is finally revealed, Prasad must prove that love, courage, and perseverance can overcome the deepest divides. Faced with a life-threatening attack on the school, he fights to protect his children, uniting the family through bravery and sacrifice. In the end, bonds are restored, forgiveness is embraced, and a father's unwavering love triumphs over every obstacle, delivering a story of redemption, resilience, and the unbreakable power of family. After the attack on the school, life begins to settle, but the family realizes that healing is an ongoing journey. Prasad, now fully recognized by his children and Sasareka as both a father and protector, takes on a more open role in the daily lives. He attends school events, helps with homework, and mentors his children in life skills beyond physical training, teaching responsibility, resilience, and empathy. The children, inspired by his bravery and consistency, grow confident and emotionally secure, their earlier insecurities replaced with trust and admiration. Sasareka and Prasad rebuild their relationship step by step. They share quiet moments of reflection, laughter, and candid conversations about the past, slowly regaining the deep understanding and affection that first brought them together. They learn to be Alan's parental authority and partnership, supporting each other through challenges both inside and outside the home. Their renewed connection becomes a foundation for the children to thrive emotionally, witnessing a model of love built on respect and trust. GVR, having witnessed Prasad's unwavering dedication and the recent heroic events, fully accepts him into the family. Though still stern at times, he shows pride in his grandchildren and acknowledges the strength of Prasad's character. The once rigid walls of conflict soften into mutual respect, forming a united family front. Prasad's team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remain close allies, assisting him in both professional and personal matters. Together, they celebrate victories, big and small, children achieving success in academics, sports, and moral growth, and the family sharing moments of joy, festivals, and playful bonding. These sequences show that the journey from separation and struggle to reunion has transformed them into a resilient and loving family unit. As life continues, small challenges arise, school competitions, minor disagreements, and the children's growing independence. But Prasad and Sasareka face each one with patience, guidance, and shared strength. The family's bond deepens further, illustrating that love and perseverance are not just about dramatic reunions or heroic acts. They're built in everyday support, understanding, and the ability to grow together through life's ups and downs. The story gradually closes with a series of warm, heartfelt scenes, the family enjoying a picnic, the children laughing and playing under Prasad's watchful eye, Sasareka smiling at the quiet harmony, and GVR joining in the laughter. The final image is one of togetherness and peace, a family healed, stronger than ever, and ready to face the future united, their past struggles transformed into lessons of resilience, love, and unwavering commitment to each other. Years pass, and Prasad's children grow into confident, capable young adults, shaped by the love, guidance, and discipline instilled by their father. The lessons they learned during their formative years, the importance of integrity, courage, and empathy, become the foundation of their character. Prasad watches them with pride as they pursue their own paths, excelling in academics, sports, and personal endeavors, reflecting the values he has worked so hard to teach. Sasareka remains a strong partner by Prasad's side, nurturing their children with love and wisdom, while supporting Prasad in mentoring them. Together, they create a family environment where open communication, mutual respect, and shared responsibility are the cornerstones. Their bond, once tested by conflict and separation, is now unshakable, serving as a role model for the next generation. GVR, once the strict and uncompromising patriarch, has fully embraced his grandchildren and Prasad. His occasional stern guidance is now balanced with warmth and support, creating a multi-generational dynamic filled with respect, laughter, and shared experiences. The family celebrates festivals, achievements, and small victories together, reinforcing their unity and the deep love that now defines their home. As the children face challenges of their own, career choices, relationships, and personal dilemmas, Prasad, Sasareka, and even GVR provide steady guidance. Through these moments, the values of resilience, honesty, and compassion continue to be passed down, shaping the children into responsible and empathetic adults. Prasad's team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remain close family friends, mentoring the next generation and serving as a reminder of the loyalty and camaraderie that helped rebuild the family years ago. The story culminates in a symbolic moment. Prasad watches his children take confident steps into the world, knowing that despite all the struggles and sacrifices, the legacy of love, courage, and family unity will continue. The final scene shows the family gathered together, smiling and laughing under a warm sunset, representing not just their survival but the growth, harmony, and the enduring power of family bonds that can overcome any obstacle. Years later, Prasad's children have grown into successful adults, and some now have families of their own. The values he instilled, courage, integrity, empathy, and perseverance, are evident in how they raise their own children. Prasad and Sasareka now embrace the role of doting grandparents, guiding the next generation with the same wisdom, love, and patience that shaped their children's lives. The grandchildren, playful and curious, look up to Prasad not just as a grandfather but as a hero, someone who overcame incredible challenges to protect and nurture his family. Scenes of them running around the garden, learning small life lessons through games and gentle mentorship, echo the earlier years when Prasad first bonded with their parents at the school. These moments show the continuity of family values across generations. GVR, now fully at peace with his son-in-law, often joins the family in celebrations, sharing stories of the past, occasionally teasing the grandchildren, and reinforcing the lessons of respect and resilience. His transformation from a strict, powerful patriarch to a supportive, affectionate grandfather completes the arc of reconciliation and personal growth. Prasad's old team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remain close family friends, often visiting and participating in family activities. They help teach the grandchildren discipline, courage, and teamwork, ensuring the legacy of loyalty and mentorship continues beyond Prasad himself. The story culminates in a serene, heartwarming scene. The family gathers for a celebration under a glowing sunset. Prasad watches his children and grandchildren interacting, laughing, and learning together. He exchanges a meaningful look with Sasareka, their hands clasped, knowing that despite the trials and separations of the past, the family is now stronger, happier, and more united than ever. The camera pans out slowly, capturing the multi-generational family together, symbolizing not just survival and reunion but the enduring legacy of love, courage, and resilience that will continue for generations. Shankara Vera Prasad, a courageous and dedicated National Security Guard officer, fell deeply in love with Sasareka, a woman whose grace and intelligence matched his own steadfast principles. Their love blossomed quickly, and they married amid joyous celebrations, dreaming of a life filled with happiness and shared purpose. But the harmony of their union was soon shattered. Prasad's ideals and his father-in-law GVR's rigid, business-driven worldview collided violently. Ideological differences escalated into constant arguments, eroding trust and peace. Despite their love, the conflict became unbearable, and Prasad and Sasreka were forced to divorce, leaving him heartbroken and separated from his beloved children. For 6 long years, Prasad carried the weight of longing, dreaming of a day he could reunite with them. Fate offered him a chance when he learned that his children were studying at a boarding school. Determined to reconnect, Prasad assumed a new identity and joined the school as a physical training mentor. He was aided by his loyal team, Jaivala, Narayana, and Mustafa, who helped him navigate the delicate task of being close to his children without revealing his true identity. Slowly, through sports, mentorship, and quiet guidance, Prasad began to bond with them. Laughter, small victories, and shared moments of trust allowed the children to admire and confide in the mysterious PT teacher, completely unaware that he was their father. Sasreka eventually discovered Prasad's secret but chose to remain silent, understanding that their children needed time to reconnect with him without confusion or disruption. GVR, ever vigilant and suspicious, began noticing the PT mentor's influence and subtly investigated, creating tension and obstacles that tested Prasad's patience and ingenuity. Yet, through perseverance, intelligence, and his unwavering love for his children, Prasad managed to navigate these challenges while continuing to earn their hearts. The inevitable moment of truth arrived when GVR's investigation led to a dramatic revelation of Prasad's identity. The children were stunned, struggling with a whirlwind of emotions, shock, disbelief, and eventually, an overwhelming flood of love. Heartfelt conversations followed, where Prasad expressed his unwavering devotion and explained the reasons behind his secrecy. Sasreka stood by him, helping bridge the gap between past misunderstandings and present reconciliation. Witnessing his courage and sincerity, GVR began to soften, grudgingly acknowledging Prasad as a man of integrity and a true father to his grandchildren. Their reunion, however, was tested once more when an external threat targeted the school, putting the children's lives at risk. Prasad sprang into action, using his NSG training and tactical genius to protect them. Jaivala, Narayana, and Mustafa supported him, while the children, inspired by their father's teachings, displayed courage and teamwork. In a tense and action-packed showdown, Prasad neutralized the threat, ensuring the safety of everyone. The experience reinforced the bond between father and children, showing that love, bravery, and determination could overcome even life-threatening danger. With peace restored, the family embraced life together. Prasad and Sasreka rebuilt their relationship, finding strength in mutual respect and shared love, while GVR fully accepted Prasad as part of the family. Everyday life became a testament to their unity. Celebrations, school events, achievements, and quiet, tender moments reflected the enduring power of love and resilience. The children, now confident and emotionally secure, thrived under the care and guidance of their parents, carrying forward the lessons they had learned. Years passed, and the children grew into responsible, capable adults, raising families of their own. Prasad and Sasreka became doting grandparents, guiding the next generation with wisdom, patience, and the same steadfast love. The grandchildren looked up to Prasad as a hero, learning values of courage, integrity, and empathy through playful mentorship and heartfelt storytelling. GVR, once a stern and unyielding patriarch, now shared in the warmth and laughter of the family. Embracing his grandchildren and finding joy in the growth, Prasad's loyal team remained close. helping nurture the next generation and keeping alive the bonds of loyalty, courage, and guidance that had shaped the family's journey. The story culminates in a serene, heartwarming scene, the entire family gathered under a golden sunset, laughing, sharing stories, and celebrating life together. Prasad watches his children and grandchildren interacting, realizing that every trial, every sacrifice, and every moment of perseverance has led to this, an unbreakable, harmonious, multi-generational family. The legacy of love, courage, integrity, and resilience continues, a testament to the enduring power of family bonds, capable of overcoming every challenge and thriving across generations. Even after years of happiness and reunion, life continues to bring small challenges, reminding the family that growth and unity are ongoing efforts. Prasad and Sasreka guide their children through adulthood, offering advice on careers, relationships, and moral decisions. The children, now young adults, occasionally stumble, making mistakes or facing setbacks, but Prasad's steady presence and wisdom provide the support they need to overcome difficulties. These moments reinforce the values of resilience, empathy, and integrity that he has always championed. The grandchildren, playful and curious, become a source of joy and new responsibility for Prasad and Sasareka. Their innocent questions, small adventures, and boundless energy bring light-hearted humor and tenderness into the family's life, while also teaching the elders lessons in patience and the evolving nature of love. Prasad finds joy in mentoring them, sharing stories of courage, discipline, and ethical choices, lessons shaped by his own life experiences. GVR, once strict and domineering, has fully embraced his role as a supportive grandfather. Though he retains his wisdom and strong personality, he now balances authority with warmth, enjoying the simple pleasures of family life and taking pride in seeing Prasad's legacy reflected in the grandchildren. The extended family celebrates festivals, milestones, and simple daily joys together, symbolizing harmony, understanding, and the lasting power of love over conflict. Prasad's team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remain integral parts of the family's life, bridging the past and present. They continue to instill courage, loyalty, and teamwork in the younger generation while supporting Prasad in navigating the occasional challenges of adulthood and family dynamics. Together, they represent the enduring strength of bonds formed through trust, shared hardship, and unwavering commitment. The story continues with scenes of laughter, learning, and quiet reflection, emphasizing that family is not just about surviving trials but about nurturing one another, celebrating growth, and carrying forward values that transcend time. Prasad, Sasareka, and their extended family embody the idea that love, patience, and perseverance are not only for moments of crisis, they are the foundation of everyday life, ensuring that their legacy of courage, integrity, and unity continues across generations. As the years pass, Prasad's children carve out their own paths in life, carrying forward the lessons of courage, integrity, and empathy that their father instilled. One becomes a respected officer, inspired by Prasad's example of service and discipline. Another pursues a career helping underprivileged communities, reflecting the compassion and ethical guidance taught at home. Their successes are celebrated not only as personal achievements but as a testament to the foundation of love and values laid by Prasad and Sasareka. The grandchildren grow older, their personalities shaped by the same values of resilience, honesty, and determination. Prasad and Sasreka delight in watching them explore the world, mentoring them through small adventures and challenges, teaching them to face setbacks with courage and treat others with kindness. Laughter, storytelling, and shared family traditions become the glue, holding the generations together. Even in disagreements or minor conflicts, the family resolves matters with communication and understanding, reflecting the lessons learned through years of Struggle and reunion. GVR, now in the twilight of his life, enjoys the fruits of reconciliation. He shares wisdom with his grandchildren, passing down life lessons while also allowing the younger generation to make their own choices. The once strict patriarch now finds joy in playful moments, celebrating milestones and family achievements alongside Prasad, acknowledging how love and guidance can reshape relationships across decades. Throughout the saga, Prasad's loyal team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remain pillars of support. They assist in mentoring the grandchildren, guiding them through challenges, and celebrating their triumphs. Their continued presence strengthens the bond between the generations, demonstrating the enduring value of loyalty, teamwork, and shared history. As the story unfolds, the family faces new challenges, career setbacks, personal dilemmas, and the inevitable trials of life, but they confront them together, relying on communication, trust, and mutual respect. Prasad and Sasreka's love stands as the anchor, a source of stability and inspiration. For everyone, the family thrives not because life is easy, but because they face it united, drawing strength from one another. The final scenes of the saga are deeply symbolic. The family gathered for a festival, with children, grandchildren, and elders celebrating together. Prasad watches the grandchildren play, the grown children laughing and sharing stories, and Sasreka smiling beside him. GVR joins them, his presence a reminder of how reconciliation and understanding can transform relationships. The camera pans to capture the multi-generational family united, a living testament to resilience, love, and the power of enduring bonds. Prasad's journey, from separation and heartbreak to reunion, guidance, and legacy, has come full circle, leaving behind a family strong in love, values, and connection, ready to carry forward his teachings into the future. With the family now fully reunited, life settled into a rhythm filled with warmth, laughter, and daily lessons. Prasad continued mentoring his children openly, guiding them not just in academics or sports but in character, ethics, and resilience. Each small success, whether a child overcoming fear, achieving a goal, or helping someone in need, was celebrated with joy, reinforcing the lessons he had instilled over the years. Sasreka worked alongside him, nurturing the emotional well-being of the children and creating a home filled with understanding, patience, and shared responsibility. As the children matured, their personalities and ambitions began to emerge more clearly. One pursued a career in public service, inspired by Prasad's dedication as an officer, while another focused on social work, wanting to give back to society. Prasad and Sasreka guided them through the trials of early adulthood, offering advice but allowing them space to make their own decisions. They faced setbacks, heartbreaks, and dilemmas, but the strong foundation of family support allowed them to navigate life with confidence. The grandchildren grew up surrounded by love, wisdom, and the gentle guidance of their grandparents. Prasad found joy in teaching them life lessons through stories of courage, small adventures, and simple day-to-day experiences. Their curiosity, laughter, and energy brought a fresh sense of joy to the household, reminding Prasad and Sasreka of the early years with their own children. The grandchildren learned the same values of integrity, courage, and empathy that had guided their parents, forming a bridge between the past and the future. GVR, once a strict and controlling figure, now embraced his role as a grandfather with warmth and pride. Though his personality retained a firmness, he learned to balance it with affection, enjoying playful moments with the grandchildren and celebrating milestones and achievements. His acceptance of Prasad not only strengthened family unity but became a living example of how understanding, patience, and forgiveness can transform relationships over time. Even as minor challenges arose, career pressures, small disagreements among siblings, or differences in opinion, the family faced them together. Prasad's guidance, combined with Sasareka's support and the presence of loyal family friends like Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, ensured that the family continued to grow stronger. Moments of laughter, teamwork, and problem-solving became as significant as the heroic events of the past, showing that the true strength of a family lies in enduring love, mutual respect, and shared growth. As the years passed, the home remained filled with life and celebration. Festivals were joyful, gatherings of multiple generations, victories were shared, and challenges faced together became opportunities to reinforce bonds. Prasad and Sasreka watched their children and grandchildren flourish, taking pride in the legacy of love, courage, and integrity they had cultivated. The family had transformed every past hardship into lessons, every separation into resilience, and every act of guidance into a foundation on for the future. As the grandchildren grew older, their curiosity and energy brought new life and challenges to the household. Each child displayed a unique personality. One was fearless and adventurous, another thoughtful and studious, while a third had a compassionate heart that drew them to helping others. Prasad and Sasreka took joy in guiding them, sharing stories of courage, integrity, and perseverance, lessons drawn from both Prasad's experiences as an NSG officer and the family's long journey through hardship and reunion. The grandchildren faced their own small battles, learning to overcome fear, handling conflicts with friends, and navigating the responsibilities of growing up. Prasad used these moments as opportunities to teach resilience and moral courage, often using playful exercises, games, and stories to impart important lessons. The children admired him not just as a grandfather, but as a hero and role model, a man who had faced separation, danger, and adversity yet never wavered in his love and duty to his family. Sasareka nurtured the grandchildren with warmth and wisdom, ensuring that emotional intelligence and empathy were as much a part of their upbringing as strength and discipline. She shared with them her own experiences of love, patience, and compromise, teaching them that family bonds thrive when nurtured with understanding and care. Together, Prasad and Sasreka created an environment where the children felt safe to explore, make mistakes, and grow, knowing that guidance and support were always present. GVR, now older but still sharp-minded, delighted in mentoring the grandchildren in his own way. He encouraged them to pursue their passions while teaching them the importance of responsibility, perseverance, and respect for elders. His transformation, from a strict patriarch to a loving and supportive grandfather, was a source of inspiration for the entire family, showing that even the hardest hearts could soften when faced with genuine love and dedication. Prasad's team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, continued to be part of the family's daily life. They played the roles of teachers, protectors, and friends to the grandchildren, instilling in them loyalty, courage, and teamwork. Their presence served as a living link to Prasad's past, reminding the younger generation of the values and sacrifices that shaped their family's story. Over time, the family faced challenges that were no longer life-threatening but just as important in shaping character. The children struggled with studies, friendships, and personal choices. The grandchildren began to test boundaries and make independent decisions. Each trial became a chance for Prasad and Sasreka to guide them, teaching them patience, decision-making, and the consequences of choices. The family celebrated achievements, overcame setbacks, and strengthened bonds through every small victory and lesson, demonstrating that the true essence of legacy is not just survival, but the growth, values, and unity passed down through generations. As the grandchildren entered the teenage years, they began exploring the world beyond the home. Their personalities became more distinct. One was ambitious and fearless, often taking the lead in adventures. Another was reflective and analytical, solving problems thoughtfully, while a third carried the family's compassion, always ready to help others in need. Each challenge they faced, academic pressures, social dynamics, or personal doubts, became an opportunity for Prasad and Sasareka to teach courage, ethics, and perseverance. Prasad often shared lessons from his own life, stories of discipline from his NSG days, the importance of resilience during his separation from his children, and the strength it took to reunite and rebuild his family. These tales were never just stories, they were life lessons, instilling in the grandchildren a sense of responsibility, bravery, and moral clarity. Sasareka complemented this guidance, teaching empathy, patience, and the value of understanding others. Together, they shaped a generation that honored both courage and compassion, even as the grandchildren faced modern challenges, peer pressure, career aspirations, and the complexities of friendships. They were never without guidance. Prasad encouraged them to make decisions based on integrity, while allowing them to learn from mistakes. The children of his own generation also played a mentoring role, strengthening family bonds and showing that leadership and wisdom were shared responsibilities. GVR, though older, continued to be a presence of guidance and authority, now tempered with warmth and humor. He celebrated the grandchildren's achievements, gently corrected missteps, and shared life lessons drawn from decades of experience. His transformation from a strict patriarch to a loving mentor inspired the younger family members, showing that even the toughest hearts can grow and adapt with love and understanding. Prasad's team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remained integral, often accompanying the grandchildren on physical training exercises, small adventures, and problem-solving challenges. These experiences taught teamwork, strategic thinking, and courage, reinforcing the values that had carried the family through every generation. As the family grew closer through these experiences, a sense of continuity and purpose strengthened the household. The grandchildren began to demonstrate the qualities Prasad had nurtured in them: bravery, loyalty, empathy, and resilience. Small acts of kindness, confident decision-making, and courageous choices became routine, showing that the family's legacy was thriving. The family celebrated achievements together, graduations, competitions, and personal milestones, solidifying the bonds of love, respect, and shared values. Through all these years, Prasad and Sasareka realized that their journey was more than survival or reunion. It was about nurturing generations, guiding them with wisdom, and creating a family capable of facing life's challenges together. Each day became a testament to love, patience, and perseverance, showing that the seeds planted years ago had grown into a strong, resilient, and morally grounded family. As the grandchildren stepped into young adulthood, an unexpected challenge arose that would test their courage, unity, and the lessons they had inherited. A crisis emerged in the community near their hometown, a natural disaster that put lives at risk. The grandchildren, recalling the stories of bravery and resilience the grandfather Prasad had shared, decided to act. They organized rescue efforts, coordinated aid for affected families, and faced dangerous situations with determination. Prasad and Sasareka guided them from a distance, offering advice, encouragement, and strategic insights when needed. Though proud, they let the grandchildren make critical decisions on their own, allowing them to grow into leaders capable of handling pressure. The experience was intense. There were moments of fear, exhaustion, and doubt, but the grandchildren relied on the values instilled in them: courage, empathy, integrity, and teamwork. Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa were also involved, helping train and support the young adults, ensuring their safety, and passing down practical skills for handling high-stress situations. These moments strengthened the bond between the generations and highlighted how mentorship, loyalty, and preparedness were crucial not just in the past but in shaping the future. Through this challenge, The grandchildren proved the growth. One led the rescue team with strategic precision, another comforted and cared for those in distress, and the youngest displayed creative thinking to solve urgent logistical problems. Their actions earned the admiration of the community and, more importantly, the quiet pride of Prasad, Sasrekha, and GVR, who realized that the family's legacy of courage, resilience, and compassion was now firmly in the hands of the next generation. Once the crisis passed, the family gathered together, sharing relief, laughter, and reflections on the experience. Prasad reminded the grandchildren that challenges are part of life, but it is how one faces them, with courage, ethics, and unity, that defines character. Sasrekha praised their empathy and thoughtfulness, emphasizing that strength is meaningful only when paired with kindness. The grandchildren's successful handling of the crisis became a defining moment in the family saga, symbolizing that the lessons of the past, Prasad's sacrifices, the family's struggles, and the values instilled over generations, had taken root. The family celebrated not just survival, but growth, maturity, and the continuation of a legacy built on love, courage, and unity. As the grandchildren moved further into adulthood, each chose a path that reflected the values Prasad and Sasrekha had instilled. One joined public service, determined to protect and serve the community, inspired by Prasad's bravery and sense of duty. Another pursued social work, dedicating themselves to helping underprivileged families, reflecting the empathy and compassion nurtured at home. The youngest focused on innovation and problem solving, driven by curiosity and determination, yet always mindful of ethical responsibility. Prasad and Sasrekha continued to guide them, offering advice while allowing independence. They celebrated milestones, job promotions, awards, and personal achievements, not just for success, but for the integrity and resilience shown along the way. Each challenge the grandchildren faced, whether a moral dilemma, a professional setback, or a personal conflict, became a teaching moment. Prasad reminded them that courage is not only about facing danger but also about making the right choice when no one is watching. As the grandchildren began forming their own families, Prasad and Sasrekha embraced the role of elders with pride and humility. The new generation of children grew up hearing tales of Prasad's heroic past, learning lessons of love, sacrifice, and perseverance from the family's shared history. Weekend gatherings, festivals, and daily routines became celebrations of multi-generational unity, with each family member contributing to the harmony, support, and joy of the household. GVR, now older but sharp-minded, took on the role of mentor and storyteller. He shared experiences of his youth and business acumen, blending life lessons with humor and warmth. He occasionally challenged the grandchildren with riddles, strategic exercises, and ethical dilemmas, ensuring that wisdom continued to flow across generations while keeping the family bond dynamic and engaging. Prasad's loyal team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remained close family allies, helping the grandchildren navigate real-world challenges. They passed on practical skills, lessons in courage, and teamwork, bridging the generations and reminding everyone of the family's history of resilience, loyalty, and integrity. Their presence reinforced the idea that strength, love, and guidance are not limited to blood relations but are strengthened by trust and loyalty. Through these years, the family experienced not only celebrations but also small setbacks and challenges, career uncertainties, health concerns, and conflicts of opinion. Yet, each time, they faced these trials together, drawing on the lessons of unity, communication, and perseverance. The family's journey demonstrated that a legacy is not merely about surviving hardships but about nurturing character, courage, and empathy across generations. As life unfolded, the family became a model for the community, a living example of resilience, love, and ethical leadership. The grandchildren, now adults with families of their own, embodied the values Prasad had cultivated: courage in the face of adversity, compassion for others, and unwavering loyalty to those they loved. Prasad and Sasrekha watched with pride, knowing that their sacrifices, guidance, and love had created a family that would continue to thrive for generations. As the grandchildren established their own households, Prasad and Sasrekha gracefully transitioned into the roles of elders and mentors, guiding the youngest generation with patience and love. Each new child inherited not only the warmth and care of the family but also the legacy of courage, integrity, and resilience that had been cultivated over decades. The family home, once filled with the laughter and challenges of Prasad's own children, now resonated with the energy of little feet, playful chatter, and curiosity. Prasad spent time teaching the children small lessons about honesty, courage, kindness, and teamwork, through stories, games, and simple life exercises. Even at a young age, the great-grandchildren were encouraged to help one another, share responsibilities, and appreciate the sacrifices and wisdom of those who came before them. Sasrekha instilled empathy and emotional intelligence in the young ones, encouraging them to express themselves, value relationships, and respect others. Together, Prasad and Sasrekha created a nurturing environment where children felt secure, loved, and confident, much like the environment they had strived to provide for their own children during earlier years of struggle and separation. GVR, now advanced in age, delighted in the new generation. He shared stories of his own youth, imparted lessons from decades of experience, and occasionally playfully challenged the children with tasks that tested problem-solving, patience, and courage. His presence reinforced the family's connection to the past while celebrating the growth of its future. The family's loyal allies, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, remained close, often participating in outings, training exercises, and mentoring sessions for the young children. Their presence reminded everyone that loyalty, guidance, and support extend beyond bloodlines and that true family can include those who have proven the dedication and trust over a lifetime. Through festivals, daily routines, and small adventures, the family continued to build a culture of unity, resilience, and love. Prasad's teachings, courage in adversity, integrity in action, and compassion in daily life, were seamlessly woven into the lives of the great-grandchildren. Though life continued to present small challenges, health concerns, school struggles, or conflicts among family members, the family faced each obstacle together, strengthened by the bonds forged through decades of shared experience. In this stage of life, Prasad and Sasrekha often watched silently as the great-grandchildren explored the world, confident in the guidance and the family values that had been passed down through generations. The legacy of bravery, empathy, perseverance, and love was thriving, ensuring that the family's story, once marked by separation, struggle, and hardship, had evolved into a narrative of enduring unity, harmony, and generational strength. As the great-grandchildren grew older, their personalities and talents began to shine, reflecting the values instilled by Prasad, Sasrekha, and the generations before them. Some were adventurous and daring, eager to explore the world and test their limits. Others were thoughtful and creative, finding innovative ways to solve problems or help the community. Each child, in their own way, embodied courage, empathy, and integrity, the hallmarks of the family legacy. Prasad and Sasrekha continued to play guiding roles, encouraging independence while ensuring that lessons of responsibility, honesty, and perseverance were always present. They shared stories of the family's past struggles, Prasad's separation from his children, the challenges of reconciling with GVR, and the heroic moments during crises, to inspire the young ones. These stories became more than just tales, they were guiding principles, shaping how the great-grandchildren approached life. GVR, though elderly, remained an active presence, delighting in mentoring the youngest generation. He emphasized wisdom, patience, and thoughtful decision-making, balancing Prasad's focus on courage and action with lessons in strategy, foresight, and moral judgment. The interplay between the grandparents created a holistic framework for the children, blending bravery, compassion, and intelligence in equal measure. Prasad's loyal team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, also continued to mentor the young ones, taking them on small adventures, teaching teamwork, discipline, and resilience. Through playful exercises, problem-solving challenges, and practical lessons, the children learned the value of loyalty, preparation, and courage in both everyday life and extraordinary situations. As the great-grandchildren faced modern challenges, academic pressures, social dynamics, and personal growth, the family's guidance ensured they approached each hurdle with confidence and moral clarity. Even minor conflicts or setbacks became teaching moments, reinforcing values of empathy, communication, and perseverance. The family celebrated achievements and milestones together, creating a cycle of support, pride, and shared joy that bound the generations tightly. Through these years, the family evolved into a living symbol of resilience, unity, and legacy. What had begun with Prasad's struggles and reunion with Sasreka had now grown into a thriving, multi-generational household where love, courage, and integrity were not just lessons but lived experiences. The laughter, shared stories, and daily interactions of the great-grandchildren served as a living testament to the enduring power of family values and the strength that comes from facing life together. Even as the family faced the inevitable challenges of life, aging, health concerns, and the complexities of modern society, they met each trial united, drawing strength from one another. Prasad and Sasreka watched with quiet pride as the great-grandchildren embraced their lessons, made ethical choices, and helped others, realizing that the legacy they had built over decades would continue far beyond their own lifetimes. As the great-grandchildren moved into adolescence and early adulthood, the first serious test of their courage and unity emerged. A severe crisis struck the nearby town, a massive flood caused by relentless rains, threatening homes, schools, and lives. The great-grandchildren, inspired by the stories of Prasad's heroism and the lessons he had instilled, immediately sprang into action. They organized relief efforts, coordinated rescue teams, and ensured the safety of neighbors and friends. Prasad and Sasreka guided them from a supportive distance, offering advice, strategy, and reassurance, but allowed the young ones to make critical decisions themselves. The challenge tested their courage, patience, and ability to work together under pressure. One led the rescue operations with tactical skill, another focused on helping the most vulnerable, and a third handled communication and logistics to ensure smooth coordination. Their actions reflected the values of bravery, empathy, and responsibility that had been passed down through generations. Even the youngest great-grandchildren contributed in small but meaningful ways, comforting frightened families, distributing supplies, and encouraging teamwork. Every act, no matter how small, reinforced the idea that courage and compassion are intertwined, and that true leadership involves serving others selflessly. The community, initially overwhelmed by the disaster, marveled at the young generation's initiative and bravery. Prasad, watching from the sidelines, felt a deep sense of pride. Every decision, every act of courage, every moment of empathy demonstrated that the family's legacy was alive and thriving. Sasreka embraced her grandchildren, proud of the resilience and integrity they displayed. Even GVR, moved by their actions, expressed admiration and pride, reflecting on how far the family had come since the days of conflict and separation. Once the floodwaters receded, the family gathered together to celebrate the bravery and unity of the great-grandchildren. Prasad reminded them that challenges would continue to arise throughout life, but it is the values of courage, compassion, and integrity, combined with trust in one another, that allow a family to overcome any obstacle. The experience became a defining moment, not just for the great-grandchildren but for the entire family, illustrating that the lessons of the past had successfully been carried forward and applied in real-world situations. From that day onward, the great-grandchildren continued to grow with confidence, embracing responsibility, helping others, and maintaining the strong bonds that connected them to the generations before. The family's saga, once marked by separation, struggles, and reunions, now extended into a future of harmony, courage, and enduring legacy. As the great-grandchildren matured, their bravery and sense of responsibility drew them into challenges beyond the safety of their hometown. When news arrived of a neighboring region facing a sudden crisis, a series of landslides that trapped villages and disrupted communication, they immediately felt compelled to help. Remembering Prasad's teachings about courage, selflessness, and leadership, they organized a small rescue and relief mission. Prasad and Sasreka guided them remotely, offering strategies and life lessons, but intentionally allowed the great-grandchildren to take the lead. Each one contributed according to their strengths. One coordinated logistics and transportation, another led rescue teams into difficult terrain, and a third provided medical assistance and comfort to those affected. Even the younger members played a role, distributing supplies, motivating volunteers, and supporting their older siblings. The mission tested more than their physical strength. It challenged their patience, critical thinking, and emotional resilience. They faced moments of fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty, yet the lessons Prasad had passed down, perseverance in adversity, empathy for others, and the courage to act decisively, kept them grounded. They learned that leadership is not about glory, but about responsibility, teamwork, and service. Back home, the extended family watched with pride and concern. GVR, once the stern patriarch, was moved by the way the youngest generation had internalized the family's values. Jaivala, Narayana, and Mustafa accompanied the great-grandchildren on the field, offering practical support and mentoring, bridging the lessons of the past with the challenges of the present. After days of tireless effort, the rescue mission succeeded. Villages were saved, lives were secured, and the family's legacy of courage, leadership, and compassion was reflected in the actions of the great-grandchildren. When they returned home, the NT family celebrated not just the success of the mission, but the continuation of the principles that had sustained them for generations. Prasad, watching the young ones embrace their responsibilities with such maturity, realized that the seeds of bravery, integrity, and empathy he had planted decades ago were now fully blossomed. Sasreka hugged them, proud of how they had faced danger with courage and compassion. Even GVR smiled, a rare softness in his eyes, recognizing that the family's values had become stronger with every generation. From that day onward, the great-grandchildren continued to embrace challenges, both local and far-reaching, confident in their ability to act with courage, wisdom, and love. The family's story, once shaped by separation and struggle, had transformed into a saga of enduring unity, strength, and multi-generational legacy, proving that true heroism is measured not only by individual courage, but by the values and guidance passed from one generation to the next. As the great-grandchildren entered adulthood, they began building their own lives while carrying forward the values Prasad and Sasreka had instilled. One joined public service, becoming a respected officer, inspired by Prasad's courage and integrity. Anotha pursued social work, dedicating themselves to helping communities in need, reflecting the empathy and compassion nurtured through the family. The youngest focused on innovation and problem solving, applying creativity and ethical thinking to real-world challenges. Prasad and Sasreka supported them, offering guidance while allowing independence, reminding them that true strength lies in making responsible choices, even when the path is uncertain. The grandchildren faced personal and professional challenges, career setbacks, relationship dilemmas, and ethical decisions, but the family's guidance and shared values gave them the confidence to persevere. As they started their own families, Prasad and Sasreka gracefully transitioned into the role of mentors for the next generation. The great-grandchildren grew up surrounded by stories of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Festivals, daily routines, and shared adventures became opportunities to pass down life lessons, instilling values of empathy, bravery, and teamwork from a young age. GVR, now elderly, took joy in mentoring the younger generation. He shared his wisdom, imparting lessons in strategy, foresight, and patience, balancing Prasad's teachings of courage and action. Together, the grandparents ensured the family legacy was complete, one that blended bravery, compassion, discipline, and moral clarity. Prasad's loyal team, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, continued to support the family, accompanying the great-grandchildren on small adventures, training sessions, and problem-solving exercises. Their presence reinforced the principles of loyalty, courage, and perseverance, showing that guidance and mentorship extend beyond family bloodlines. Life for the family was no longer about surviving hardships, it was about growing together, celebrating achievements, and meeting challenges with unity. Each success, each act of courage or kindness by the great-grandchildren, reminded Prasad and Sasreka that their sacrifices, guidance, and values had created a lasting legacy. The family, once torn by separation and conflict, had transformed into a multi-generational beacon of love, integrity, and resilience. The family continued to face challenges, career pressures, social responsibilities, and personal dilemmas, but they met each obstacle with courage, collaboration, and compassion. Through every generation, the values Prasad had fought to uphold endured, ensuring that the family's story remained one of inspiration, growth, and unbreakable bonds. As the great-grandchildren fully stepped into adulthood, a new challenge arose that mirrored the trials the great-grandfather had once faced. A sudden crisis struck a nearby region. A powerful and organized criminal network was threatening the safety of villages and towns, spreading fear and chaos. The great-grandchildren, inspired by Prasad's courage, strategic thinking, and sense of duty, decided to confront the threat rather than wait for authorities to act. They organized teams, combining their skills. One handled strategy and coordination, another gathered intelligence and analyzed risks, while a third focused on ensuring the safety of civilians. Even the younger members contributed, providing support, relaying messages, and maintaining morale. Their teamwork reflected the values of courage, empathy, and integrity passed down through generations. Prasad and Sasreka, though older, guided them carefully. They reminded the great-grandchildren to act with both bravery and caution, teaching lessons in tactical thinking, ethics, and responsibility. Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa accompanied them, offering field experience, mentoring, and backup, bridging the gap between past heroic endeavors and the present generation's challenges. The operation was perilous. They faced danger, deception, and unexpected setbacks, testing their resilience and moral judgment. Yet, they applied every lesson learned from Prasad's stories, their upbringing, and the family's values. Courage blended with strategy, empathy guided the decisions, and loyalty strengthened their unity. Through perseverance, teamwork, and clever planning, the great-grandchildren dismantled the threat, protecting the communities and restoring peace. Their actions were celebrated, but more importantly, They had proven to themselves, and to the family, that the legacy of bravery, moral integrity, and selfless service had not only endured but grown stronger. Back home, the family gathered to celebrate their success. Prasad and Sasrekha embraced the young heroes, proud of how they had applied the values of courage, leadership, and compassion in real, high-stakes situations. GVR, deeply moved, acknowledged the family's principles had been fully realized in this generation. The great-grandchildren had not only faced danger, they had acted with honor, protecting others and reinforcing the timeless legacy of the family. From that day forward, the family's saga continued with renewed purpose. The lessons of Prasad's life, the sacrifices, struggles, and reunions that once defined their story, now became the guiding force for a vibrant, multi-generational lineage of courage, integrity, and compassion. Each new challenge, whether ordinary or extraordinary, was met with unity, wisdom, and love, ensuring that the family's legacy would thrive indefinitely. Years passed, and the great-grandchildren, now young adults, began to build families of their own. They named their children with pride, sharing stories of courage, integrity, and perseverance that had been passed down from Prasad and Sasrekha. These tales became more than family lore. They were life lessons, shaping the values, mindset, and character of the youngest generation. The family home, once echoing with the laughter of Prasad's children, now thrived with the energy of great-great-grandchildren. Festivals, celebrations, and daily life became lessons in compassion, discipline, and teamwork. Prasad, though older, remained the emotional anchor, telling stories of bravery, separation, reunion, and resilience, ensuring that every child understood the legacy of sacrifice and love that had shaped their lineage. Sasrekha continued to nurture the family with warmth and wisdom, teaching empathy, patience, and emotional strength. Together with Prasad, they fostered an environment where children learned to balance courage with kindness, discipline with creativity, and ambition with responsibility. Their teachings ensured that every generation carried forward the principles that had defined the family. For decades, GVR, now in the twilight of his life, became the sage of the family, sharing lessons in wisdom, strategy, and ethical decision-making. Even his sternness had softened into gentle guidance, and he often marveled at how far the family had grown from the days of conflict and separation. His presence served as a living connection between past struggles and present achievements, reminding each generation of the power of reconciliation, understanding, and family unity. Prasad's loyal companions, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, continued to mentor the young family members, now focusing on teaching resilience, practical skills, and teamwork. They became pillars of guidance for the great-great-grandchildren, showing that courage and loyalty extend beyond bloodlines and are strengthened through trust and shared experience. Over time, the family faced both ordinary and extraordinary challenges. From natural disasters to personal trials, every generation confronted difficulties with courage, empathy, and unity. Each time, the family emerged stronger, their bonds deeper, and their values more firmly rooted. The children and grandchildren not only learned to overcome obstacles but also to help others, continuing the legacy of selfless service and integrity that Prasad had begun decades ago. Through all these years, the family remained a symbol of enduring love, resilience, and moral strength. What had started as a story of separation and struggle had grown into a multi-generational epic, where courage, compassion, and loyalty were passed down like heirlooms, shaping not just the family, but everyone whose lives they touched. As decades passed, Prasad and Sasrekha's great-great-grandchildren grew up, carrying forward the family's values of courage, integrity, and compassion. They faced modern challenges, technology, globalization, and societal pressures, but the lessons instilled by Prasad and Sasrekha served as the guiding compass. Even as the world changed around them, the principles of bravery, empathy, and loyalty remained constant, shaping the decisions and actions. The family home became a hub of multi-generational activity. Stories of Prasad's heroic past, his separation from his children, his courageous service as an officer, and the ultimate reunion, were told to every new child, reinforcing a sense of identity, purpose, and belonging. Festivals, rituals, and family gatherings became occasions not just for celebration but for teaching responsibility, ethical choices, and resilience. GVR, though no longer physically present, lived on through the wisdom he imparted to each generation. His influence could be seen in how the family balanced discipline with warmth, ambition with morality, and authority with compassion. His journey from rigidity to understanding became an integral part of the family's moral foundation, inspiring descendants to value reconciliation and perspective. Prasad and Sasreka, now revered as the family's matriarch and patriarch, watched as their lineage flourished. The younger generations not only excelled in their personal lives and careers but also dedicated themselves to helping communities, solving problems, and mentoring others, carrying forward the tradition of selfless service that had defined Prasad's life. The family's loyal companions, Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa, continued to be honored and remembered as the pillars who had supported Prasad through his early struggles. Their values of loyalty, courage, and dedication became embedded in the family culture, guiding new generations in the ways of teamwork, integrity, and mentorship. Through the years, the family faced trials that tested the bonds of love and resilience, global crises, personal losses, and moral dilemmas, but each generation met these challenges with unity, wisdom, and compassion. The children and grandchildren not only learned to navigate their own struggles but also extended help to others, ensuring that the family's influence extended beyond its walls. Prasad and Sasreka's story, once a tale of separation, conflict, and reconciliation, had transformed into a living legacy. Their values and teachings were now woven into the lives of countless descendants, each one embodying the principles of courage, integrity, compassion, and unity. The family had become more than a lineage, it was a symbol of enduring human values, resilience, and love, capable of inspiring generations for centuries to come. Generations later, the family had grown into a vast lineage, with descendants spread across cities, countries, and even continents. The core values that Prasad and Sasreka had instilled, courage, integrity, compassion, and unity, remained the foundation of every branch of the family. Despite the changes of time, technology, and society, the family's identity as a force for good endured. The stories of Prasad's heroism, his service as an officer, his separation and reunion with his children, and his unwavering moral compass, had become legendary. They were told at every gathering, written in journals, and celebrated as the guiding principles for the family. Each generation used these lessons to navigate new challenges, scientific breakthroughs, societal shifts, global crises, and moral dilemmas. Great-great-great-grandchildren, though living in an era Prasad could never have imagined, still embodied his values. They became leaders, innovators, educators, and protectors of their communities, applying courage and ethical decision-making in ways that mirrored his own heroic deeds. Even the youngest ones learned teamwork, resilience, and empathy through stories, practical lessons, and family traditions that had been preserved for centuries. The family home, now more of a symbolic ancestral estate, served as a gathering place for major festivals, celebrations, and important family decisions. Here, elders shared wisdom, children learned from examples, and each generation reaffirmed their commitment to the principles handed down by Prasad and Sasreka. Loyalty, mentorship, and courage remained central, and descendants continued to honor the memory of Jayvala, Narayana, and Mustafa as the heroes who had helped establish the family's enduring values. Challenges in the modern world were no less formidable. Natural disasters, ethical dilemmas, conflicts between communities, and technological threats arose. Yet the family responded with the same unity, strategic thinking, and courage that had defined Prasad's generation. Every crisis became a testament to the enduring legacy he had left, proving that moral strength, compassion, and resilience were timeless. By now, the family had become a beacon of inspiration not just to themselves, but to communities far and wide. Their collective actions, guided by the principles of past generations, saved lives, fostered understanding, and promoted justice. The legend of Prasad and Sasreka had transcended mere memory. It had become a living ethos, shaping the character and choices of countless descendants. Even centuries later, the name of Prasad carried weight in the family's history, reminding everyone that courage, love, and integrity are the true pillars of life. The family's saga, which began with separation, struggle, and reunion, had evolved into an eternal story of unity, heroism, and moral guidance, a story that would continue indefinitely, carried in the hearts and actions of every descendant who came after. Centuries later, the family of Prasad and Sasreka had grown into a sprawling lineage, its descendants spread across nations, cultures, and even continents. The stories of Prasad's courage, Sasreka's wisdom, and the sacrifices of their generation had become legendary, preserved not only in family records but in the hearts and actions of every descendant. Even in a world transformed by technology, space exploration, and societal evolution, the core values of bravery, integrity, compassion, and unity endured. In this era, descendants faced challenges that Prasad could never have imagined: natural disasters, intensified by climate change, global crises requiring diplomacy and strategy, technological threats, and moral dilemmas in a hyper-connected society. Yet each generation approached these trials with the same principles that had guided Prasad: courage tempered with ethics, compassion alongside determination, and unwavering loyalty to family and community. The family estate, once a home, had become a symbolic center for the lineage, a place where elders shared stories, traditions, and lessons. New generations learned not only through stories but through immersive experiences, training programs, and service missions that tested their leadership, teamwork, and moral judgment. The presence of Prasad's loyal companions, now honored as legendary figures, served as timeless examples of loyalty, courage, and dedication. Descendants became leaders in every field: diplomacy, science, medicine, social reform, exploration, and governance. They applied Prasad's teachings in innovative ways, solving crises, protecting communities, and advancing human understanding. Even children born centuries later were taught the importance of empathy, responsibility, and courage, ensuring that every generation remained connected to the founding values of the family. Through every challenge, the family remained united. Conflicts were resolved with wisdom, mistakes were seen as opportunities for growth, and successes were shared collectively. The ethos of the family, rooted in Prasad and Sasreka's love, resilience, and moral strength, became a guiding force, proving that legacy is not measured by wealth or fame but by the principles passed from one generation to the next. By this time, the story of Prasad had transcended history. It was a living legend. Scholars, storytellers, and family historians recounted his bravery and sacrifices, inspiring countless descendants to embody his courage and moral clarity. The family's saga, which began with separation, struggle, and reunion, had transformed into an eternal narrative of heroism, unity, and ethical guidance, a story that would continue as long as life endured, carried in the actions, choices, and hearts of every Descendant. Answer. Centuries after Prasad first walked the earth, his values lived on, unchanged in essence. Evolving with the times, and shining as a beacon of courage, love, and integrity for every generation. That followed. Millennia later, the descendants of Prasad and Sasreka had become a sprawling civilization, their lineage reaching across cities, nations, and even settlements on distant planets. The story of Prasad's courage, Sasreka's wisdom, and the loyalty of Jaivala, Narayana, and Mustafa had become myth. Celebrated not only within the family but across societies as a guiding legend of human values. In this futuristic age, descendants faced challenges unlike any before: planetary exploration, interstellar diplomacy, advanced technological threats, and crises affecting entire civilizations. Yet, every generation, guided by the principles of courage, integrity, empathy, and unity, confronted these trials with the same determination Prasad had shown centuries ago. His legacy had become more than family, it was a moral compass for countless communities. The family maintained ceremonial centers on multiple planets, places where elders shared the timeless stories of Prasad and Sasreka. Children learned through both stories and practical simulations, rescue missions, ethical decision-making exercises, and leadership challenges designed to cultivate courage, compassion, and strategic thinking. The principles of loyalty, teamwork, and moral strength were passed down as rigorously as any knowledge of science or technology. Great-great-great-great-grandchildren emerged as explorers, diplomats, scientists, and leaders. They faced interstellar conflicts, natural disasters on new worlds, and complex ethical dilemmas in societies governed by advanced technologies. Each time, they acted with the courage, wisdom, and empathy that had defined their family for millennia. Even the youngest were taught that heroism was not just in facing danger, but in protecting others, upholding justice, and making ethical choices, no matter the cost. The legend of Prasad had become timeless. Histories, digital archives, and cultural teachings preserved his story, ensuring that every new generation understood the sacrifices, struggles, and moral lessons that had shaped the family. Even as the family evolved with each era, the core ethos remained: unity, courage, compassion, and integrity. Through crises and triumphs, the family's saga endured. Their actions inspired countless civilizations and communities, demonstrating that the values of one man's life, Prasad's life, could ripple across generations, continents, and planets, shaping the moral fabric of society itself. The family had become a living symbol of heroism, love, and enduring legacy, a story that would continue as long as humanity existed, its principles eternal, and its spirit immortal.
In a small town surrounded by green fields and old temples, there lived a young man named Shankara Vera Prasad. People in the town simply called him Prasad. He was known for his quiet nature, kind heart, and strong sense of responsibility. Prasad lived with his mother in a small house at the edge of the village. Their life was simple and sometimes difficult, but his mother always believed that her son was destined for something greater than the life they were living. Prasad worked at a small workshop in the town where he repaired machines and helped farmers fix their tools. Even though the work was tiring and the pay was small, he never complained. Every morning, he woke up before sunrise, helped his mother with household chores, and then walked to the workshop with determination in his eyes. Prasad's father had passed away when he was very young, leaving his mother to raise him alone. She worked tirelessly to give him a good upbringing and teach him the values of honesty and hard work. Because of this, Prasad grew up respecting people and helping anyone who needed support. The villagers trusted him deeply. Whenever someone had a problem, whether it was fixing a broken tractor or resolving a small conflict, they often came to Prasad. He never refused anyone. His calm voice and thoughtful words made people feel comfortable. Despite his kindness, life was not always easy for him. There were powerful people in the town who believed that money and influence were more important than goodness. One such person was a wealthy businessman named Raghava Rao. He owned many lands and businesses in the town and was feared by most of the villagers. Raghava Rao believed that everything in the town should be under his control. He used his power to pressure people and take advantage of their weaknesses. One day, while Prasad was working in the workshop, a farmer rushed in looking worried. His tractor had broken down during an important harvest day. Without wasting time, Prasad closed the workshop early and went with the farmer to the field. After examining the machine carefully, he repaired it using simple tools and his clever thinking. The farmer was extremely grateful because losing that day's work would have meant a big financial loss for him. Moments like these made Prasad feel satisfied because he believed that helping others was the true purpose of life. Meanwhile, Raghava Rao had been planning to expand his business empire. He wanted to buy many lands in the village to build a large factory. Some villagers agreed to sell their land because they needed money, but many refused because the land had been in their families for generations. Raghava Rao became angry when people did not obey him. He started using intimidation and tricks to pressure them into selling. One evening, while walking home from the workshop, Prasad saw a group of men arguing with an elderly farmer near the road. The farmer was clearly frightened. Prasad quickly approached them and asked what was happening. The men explained that the farmer had promised to sell his land but was now refusing. The farmer insisted that he had never made such a promise. Prasad calmly asked the men to show proof of the agreement. They could not produce any documents, which made their claims suspicious. Realizing that Prasad was not afraid of them, the men reluctantly left after giving the farmer a threatening warning. The elderly farmer thanked Prasad with tears in his eyes. He explained that the men worked for Raghava Rao and had been trying to force him to sell his land for weeks. Prasad reassured the farmer that he should not be afraid and promised to support him if the problem continued. This small incident began to change Prasad's life in ways he never expected. As days passed, Prasad became more aware of the struggles faced by many villagers. Several people privately told him similar stories about threats and pressure from Raghava Rao's agents. Prasad realized that something unfair was happening in the town. However, he also knew that confronting such a powerful man would not be easy. Around this time, a new schoolteacher arrived in the village. Her name was Meera. She was intelligent, confident, and passionate about helping children receive a good education. The villagers welcomed her warmly, and she soon became friends with many people, including Prasad. They often met during community events or while discussing issues affecting the village. Meera admired Prasad's dedication to helping others, while Prasad respected her courage and determination. One evening, while sitting near the village temple after a long day, Prasad shared his concerns about the growing influence of Raghava Rao. Meera listened carefully and agreed that something needed to be done. She believed that the villagers should stand together instead of living in fear. Their conversation planted a new idea in Prasad's mind. Maybe change was possible if people united. However, not everyone supported this idea. Many villagers were afraid of Raghava Rao's power. They believed that opposing him would only bring trouble. Prasad understood their fears, but he also felt that remaining silent would allow injustice to continue. Meanwhile, Raghava Rao began hearing reports about Prasad interfering with his plans. At first he dismissed the young man as insignificant. But as more villagers started seeking Prasad's advice and support, Raghava Rao realized that this quiet mechanic might become an obstacle. One afternoon, Prasad received an unexpected invitation to meet Raghava Rao at his large mansion. The message was polite, but the tone carried an unspoken warning. Prasad knew that refusing could create suspicion, so he decided to go. When he arrived at the mansion, he was surprised by its luxurious appearance. The building was much larger and more extravagant than any house in the village. Servants guided him through long hallways until he finally reached a grand office where Raghava Rao was waiting. Raghava Rao greeted him with a smile that seemed friendly but slightly cold. He praised Prasad's reputation for helping villagers and spoke about the importance of development and progress. Then, he revealed his true intention. He wanted Prasad to convince villagers to sell their lands peacefully so that the factory project could move forward without resistance. Prasad listened quietly before responding. He explained that development was important but should not come at the cost of people's rights and dignity. The villagers should be allowed to make decisions without pressure. His respectful but firm response surprised Raghava Rao. The businessman's smile slowly faded. He warned Prasad that interfering in matters beyond his understanding could lead to serious consequences. But Prasad remained calm and replied that he was only standing for fairness. The meeting ended with an uncomfortable silence. As Prasad left the mansion, he realized that he had just made a powerful enemy. Walking back through the quiet village streets that evening, Prasad felt both worried and determined. He knew the road ahead would not be easy, but he also believed that standing for truth was worth the risk. Little did he know that this moment marked the beginning of a long and challenging journey that would change not only his life but also the future of the entire village. After leaving Raghava Rao's mansion, Shankara Vera Prasad walked slowly toward his home. The evening sky was turning orange as the sun began to disappear behind the hills surrounding the village. The quiet road that usually brought him peace now felt heavier with thoughts and worries. He understood that standing against someone as powerful as Raghava Rao would not be easy. Still, deep inside his heart, he felt that remaining silent would be even more difficult. When Prasad reached home, his mother noticed that he looked tired and distracted. She had known him long enough to recognize when something was troubling him. While serving dinner, she gently asked what had happened. Prasad hesitated at first because he did not want to worry her. But eventually he explained everything about the meeting with Raghava Rao and the pressure being placed on the villagers. His mother listened carefully without interrupting. After a few moments of silence, she spoke calmly. She reminded Prasad that his father had always believed in doing what was right, even when it was difficult. She told him that courage does not mean fighting loudly but standing firmly for justice. Her words gave Prasad a sense of strength. Even though the situation was dangerous, he felt proud that he was following the values his parents had taught him. Over the next few days, Prasad continued his normal routine at the workshop, but the atmosphere in the village began to change. More villagers started coming to him privately, sharing their worries about Raghava Rao's men. Some said they had been offered money to sell their land. Others said they had been threatened with legal problems or violence if they refused. Prasad realized that the problem was bigger than he had imagined. It was not just about a few pieces of land. It was about the future of the entire village and the dignity of the people who lived there. One afternoon, Prasad met Meera near the school building where she was supervising children playing in the courtyard. He told her about the meeting with Raghava Rao and the growing fear among the villagers. Meera was concerned but not surprised. She had noticed that some parents were worried about losing their homes and farms. Meera believed that the villagers needed information and unity. She suggested organizing a community meeting where everyone could openly discuss the situation. At first Prasad was unsure, because he knew many people were afraid to speak publicly. But Meera reminded him that change often begins with a single conversation. After thinking about it for a while, Prasad agreed. Together they began quietly informing trusted villagers about the idea of a meeting. They explained that it would not be a protest but simply a chance for people to share their thoughts and concerns. The meeting was planned to take place near the old banyan tree in the center of the village, a place where people had gathered for generations to discuss important matters. On the evening of the meeting, Prasad arrived early, unsure how many people would see Om. At first only a few villagers appeared. They stood quietly, looking around nervously. But slowly more people arrived. Farmers, shopkeepers, elders, and even young students gathered under the large tree. Soon the area was filled with quiet conversations. Prasad stood up and addressed the group in a calm voice. He explained that everyone had the right to decide what to do with their land and their future. He emphasized that no one should feel forced or threatened. Mira also spoke, encouraging people to support one another instead of facing the problem alone. At first the villagers were hesitant. Many looked down at the ground instead of speaking. But eventually an elderly farmer stepped forward and shared his story about being pressured to sign documents he did not understand. His voice trembled as he spoke, but the courage it took inspired others. One by one, more villagers began sharing their experiences. Some spoke about threats, others about unfair offers. As the stories continued, people realized they were not alone in their struggles. A sense of unity slowly began to grow among them. By the end of the meeting, the villagers agreed on one important decision. They would not allow themselves to be divided or frightened. If Rahava Rao wanted to buy land, he would have to follow fair and legal methods without intimidation. Although the meeting was peaceful, news about it quickly reached Rahava Rao. He was furious when he heard that Prasad and Mira had encouraged villagers to unite. To him, unity meant resistance, and resistance meant a threat to his plans. The next morning, several of Rahava Rao's men arrived at the workshop where Prasad worked. Their presence made the other workers uncomfortable. One of them approached Prasad and warned him to stop interfering in matters that did not concern him. Prasad remained calm and replied that protecting the rights of villagers did concern him. The men exchanged angry looks before leaving, clearly frustrated that their intimidation had failed. Later that day, rumors spread that Rahava Rao was planning to bring officials from the city to push forward the factory project. Some villagers became worried again, fearing that powerful connections might override their wishes. Prasad understood that the situation was becoming more complicated. He decided to seek advice from a respected elder in the village named Narayana Master. The old man had once been a school principal and was known for his wisdom and fairness. When Prasad visited him, Narayana Master listened carefully to everything that had happened. After a long pause, he explained that conflicts like this often tested a community's strength and patience. He advised Prasad to remain calm, avoid unnecessary confrontation, and focus on gathering accurate information about the factory project. The old man suggested that if the project truly benefited the community, it should be presented openly with clear details. If it was harmful or unfair, then the villagers would have strong reasons to oppose it legally. Prasad thanked him for the advice. He realized that the struggle ahead would require not only courage but also careful planning and wisdom. Meanwhile, Mira continued supporting the villagers through her work at the school. She organized discussions about community rights and encouraged young people to learn about laws protecting farmers and landowners. Her efforts inspired many students and parents. As days passed, the tension between Rahava Rao and the villagers grew stronger. The once peaceful village began to feel like a place waiting for an inevitable confrontation. One evening, while returning from the workshop, Prasad noticed something unusual. Several unfamiliar vehicles were parked near the outskirts of the village. Curious and slightly concerned, he asked a nearby shopkeeper about them. The shopkeeper explained that businessmen and officials from the city had arrived to inspect land for the proposed factory. They were staying in temporary accommodations arranged by Rahava Rao. Prasad realized that events were moving faster than expected. The plans for the factory were no longer just rumors. Decisions might soon be made that could change the village forever. That night, Prasad sat outside his home looking at the stars in the dark sky. His mind was filled with questions. Would the villagers remain united? Could they protect their homes and lands? And how far would Rahava Rao go to achieve his goals? Although uncertainty surrounded him, one thing remained clear in his heart. He would not abandon the people who trusted him. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them with patience, courage, and honesty. What Prasad did not yet realize was that the arrival of those city officials would soon trigger a chain of events far more complicated than anyone in the village had imagined. Hidden motives, secret agreements, and unexpected alliances were about to emerge, turning the quiet conflict into a struggle that would test the strength of every person involved. And as the next days unfolded, Prasad's life would move even deeper into the center of that storm. The next morning the village woke up earlier than usual. News about the arrival of city officials had spread quickly, and people were curious as well as worried. Small groups gathered near tea stalls and shops, discussing what the inspection might mean for their future. Some believed that the factory might bring jobs and development, while others feared that it would destroy farmland and force families to leave the place where they had lived for generations. Shankara Vera Prasad walked through the village streets on his way to the workshop, noticing the unusual tension in the air. Normally the mornings were filled with peaceful sounds, farmers guiding their cattle, children walking to school, and shopkeepers opening the doors. But that day the conversations were quieter and more serious. At the workshop, Prasad tried to focus on his work, but his thoughts kept drifting toward the ongoing situation. Around midday, one of the farmers who had attended the previous community meeting rushed into the workshop looking anxious. He told Prasad that Rahava Rao and the visiting officials were touring the farmlands on the northern side of the village. Prasad wiped the grease from his hands and stepped outside to think for a moment. He did not want to create unnecessary confrontation, but he also felt that the villagers had the right to understand what decisions were being made. After finishing his work for the day, he decided to visit the northern fields. When Prasad arrived there, he saw several vehicles parked along the dirt road. A group of well-dressed men stood with Rahava Rao, examining the land while discussing something seriously. Some villagers watched from a distance, hesitant to approach. Prasad walked calmly toward the group. As he came closer, one of the officials noticed him and asked who he was. Before Prasad could answer, Rahava Rao stepped forward with a slight smile. "This is Shankara Vera Prasad," he said in a controlled tone. "He is a local mechanic who has taken a strong interest in village matters." The official nodded politely. Prasad greeted them respectfully and asked whether the villagers could learn more about the project being planned. He explained that many people were worried because they had heard only rumors. The officials exchanged glances. One of them, a middle-aged man with glasses, explained that the proposal involved building a manufacturing facility that could create employment opportunities and bring economic growth to the region. However, he admitted that the project would require a large amount of land. Prasad listened carefully and then asked an important question. "Have the villagers been given full information about this plan?" he asked. "Many families depend on these fields for their livelihood." The man with glasses seemed thoughtful, but before he could respond, Rahava Rao interrupted. He said that all necessary procedures would be followed and that development always required some sacrifice. Prasad remained calm but firm. He replied that development should include the voices of the people who would be affected the most. The officials looked slightly uncomfortable as the conversation continued. Eventually the group moved on to inspect another area, leaving Prasad standing among the villagers who had quietly gathered nearby. Some of them thanked him for speaking up, while others looked worried that his actions might anger Rahava Rao further. Later that evening, Prasad met Meera near the school building again. He told her everything that had happened during the inspection. Meera listened carefully and said that the situation was becoming more serious than they had expected. She suggested that the villagers might need legal guidance to understand their rights. If the project was being pushed forward without proper consultation, there could be laws protecting the community. Prasad agreed with her idea. The next day he decided to travel to a nearby town where a lawyer known for helping farmers lived. The journey required several hours by bus, but Prasad felt it was necessary. When he arrived at the lawyer's office, he explained the situation in detail. The lawyer, a thoughtful man named Srinivas, listened patiently. After reviewing the information, he explained that large projects like factories required official approvals and environmental assessments. If landowners did not willingly sell their land, it could not simply be taken without proper legal procedures. However, Srinivas also warned that powerful businessmen sometimes used influence and pressure to speed up such projects. The villagers would need to stay united and informed if they wanted to protect their rights. Prasad returned to the village that evening feeling both relieved and concerned. Relieved because the law supported the villagers' rights, but concerned because enforcing those rights might require a difficult struggle. Over the next few days, Prasad and Meera worked together to share this information with the villagers. They organized small gatherings where people could ask questions and understand the legal process. Narayana Master also joined these discussions, offering his wisdom and encouraging calm decision-making. Gradually, the villagers began to feel more confident. Instead of reacting with fear, they started discussing practical steps to protect their land while remaining open to fair negotiations. Meanwhile, Raghava Rao watched these developments with growing irritation. He had expected the villagers to give in quietly once the officials arrived. Instead, they were becoming more organized and informed. One evening he called a private meeting with his closest associates. Inside the luxurious hall of his mansion, they discussed ways to push the project forward. Some suggested offering larger payments to convince villagers to sell. Others proposed using political connections to speed up approvals. But one of Raghava Rao's advisors said something that caught everyone's attention. He warned that, as long as Shankara Vera Prasad continued influencing the villagers, resistance would remain strong. Raghava Rao sat silently for a moment, thinking carefully. He realized that directly confronting Prasad might only make him appear more heroic in the eyes of the villagers. Instead, he began considering more subtle strategies. The next morning something unexpected happened. A representative from Raghava Rao's office visited Prasad's home with a message. Raghava Rao wanted to meet him again, this time to discuss cooperation instead of conflict. Prasad was surprised but curious. When he told Meera about the invitation, she advised him to be cautious but also to listen carefully. Sometimes even difficult opponents could reach understanding through conversation. That afternoon Prasad went to the mansion once again. This time the atmosphere was slightly different. Raghava Rao greeted him with unusual politeness and invited him to sit comfortably. The businessman explained that he respected Prasad's influence among the villagers. He said that, instead of opposing each other, they could work together to ensure that the factory project benefited everyone. Prasad listened carefully. Raghava Rao proposed offering better compensation, building new homes for displaced families, and creating jobs specifically for local villages. On the surface, the proposal sounded generous, but something about the situation felt strange to Prasad. Raghava Rao had previously shown little concern for villagers' opinions. Why had his attitude changed so suddenly? Prasad thanked him for the proposal and said he would discuss it with the villagers before giving any response. As he left the mansion, he felt a strong sense that there was more behind this offer than what appeared on the surface. Meanwhile, unknown to Prasad, Raghava Rao had already begun setting another plan in motion. One that could divide the villagers and weaken their unity from within. And as the quiet village continued its daily routine, the coming days would reveal whether the community's growing strength could withstand the powerful forces working against it. After returning from Rahava Rao's mansion, Shankara Vera Prasad spent the entire evening thinking about the businessman's proposal. The offer sounded reasonable at first. Better compensation, new houses, and job opportunities for villagers could certainly improve many lives. However, Prasad's instincts told him that the situation was not so simple. Rahava Rao had spent months pressuring villagers to sell their land. Suddenly offering generous benefits felt unusual. The next morning Prasad went to meet Meera and Narayana Master so they could discuss the proposal together. They gathered in the courtyard of the school before classes began. The early sunlight filtered through the trees, and children's voices echoed in the distance as they played. Prasad explained every detail of his conversation with Rahava Rao. Meera listened carefully, occasionally asking questions. Narayana Master remained silent for a long time, thinking deeply. Finally the old man spoke. He said that the proposal should not be rejected immediately, but it should also not be accepted without careful examination. Promises made during negotiations were often different from what happened later. If Rahava Rao truly intended to help the villagers, he should present the plan officially with clear agreements. Meera agreed with this idea. She suggested organizing another village meeting where everyone could discuss the proposal openly. Transparency would prevent misunderstandings and rumors. That evening the villagers gathered again under the old banyan tree. This time the atmosphere was different. People were curious about the new offer but also cautious. Prasad stood up and explained Rahava Rao's proposal exactly as it had been presented. He made sure not to add his own opinions at first because he wanted everyone to think independently. After listening, the villagers began discussing the possibilities. Some younger people were interested in the idea of factory jobs. They believed it might provide stable income compared to unpredictable farming seasons. Others, especially older farmers, felt strongly attached to their land and did not want to leave. An elderly woman spoke emotionally about how her family had cultivated their land for generations. For her, the fields were not just property but a symbol of her family's history. Another villager raised an important concern. He asked whether the factory might harm the environment or reduce the water supply needed for farming. This question made many people thoughtful. Narayana Master suggested that before making any decision, the villagers should ask for official documents explaining the project in detail. Only with proper information could they evaluate whether the proposal was truly beneficial. By the end of the meeting, the villagers agreed on one clear step. They would request a formal presentation from Rahava Rao and the officials, where every detail of the project would be explained publicly. The following day Prasad sent a message to Rahava Rao explaining the villagers' request. Surprisingly, the businessman agreed quickly and arranged a meeting for later that week. However, while the villagers prepared for the discussion, something unexpected began happening. Within the community, a few families suddenly announced that they had already decided to sell their land. They claimed that the compensation offered privately was very attractive. This news created confusion. Some villagers wondered whether they should also accept the offers before it was too late. Others suspected that these sudden decisions were part of a strategy to break the unity of the community. Prasad started noticing small changes in the atmosphere of the village. Conversations became more divided. Some people supported the factory project enthusiastically, while others opposed it strongly. Meera observed the same thing at the school. Parents who had once discussed the situation calmly were now arguing with each other. She realized that tension was slowly growing. One evening Prasad met Narayana Master again to share his concerns. The old man nodded knowingly. He said that dividing communities was one of the oldest strategies used by powerful individuals to weaken resistance. If people start fighting among themselves, he explained, they forget the real issue. Prasad felt worried but determined. He knew that maintaining unity would be one of the greatest challenges ahead. A few days later the official presentation was held in the village community hall. Representatives from the city arrived along with Raghava Rao and several technical experts. Many villagers attended, filling every seat in the hall. Even people who usually avoided public gatherings came because the issue affected everyone. One of the experts began presenting the factory project using charts and diagrams. He explained that the facility would produce industrial equipment and could employ hundreds of workers. Roads and infrastructure in the area would also improve. However, when villagers asked about environmental effects, the answers became less clear. The experts admitted that large factories could increase pollution if not managed properly. They promised that modern technology would reduce these risks, but some villagers remained skeptical. Another important question was about relocation. If farmers sold their land, where would they live and farm in the future? The officials said new housing areas could be developed, but the details were still being planned. Throughout the presentation, Prasad observed the reactions of the villagers. Some were impressed by the promise of development, while others felt uneasy about the uncertainties. When the discussion period began, Mira stood up and asked whether independent environmental studies had been conducted. Her question surprised the officials slightly. They admitted that preliminary assessments had been done but full reports were still pending. Narayana Master then asked another question about legal guarantees for compensation and employment. The officials responded that agreements could be written once land negotiations were finalized. The meeting lasted several hours. By the end, it was clear that the project had both potential benefits and serious concerns. No final decision was made. As people slowly left the hall, the village felt divided between hope and worry. That night Prasad walked through the quiet streets thinking deeply. The issue was becoming more complicated with each passing day. Development could bring opportunities, but it could also destroy traditions and livelihoods. Meanwhile, inside his mansion, Raghava Rao was having another meeting with his associates. He had carefully watched the villagers' reactions during the presentation. He knew that if the community remained united, negotiations could take a long time. But if disagreements continued growing, the project could move forward much faster. And so he quietly continued encouraging certain villagers to accept private deals, knowing that every new agreement would weaken the collective voice of the community. Back in his small house, Prasad sat beside his mother and shared everything that had happened. During the meeting, she listened quietly and then said something simple but powerful. "Truth becomes clearer with patience," she said. Prasad looked at the night sky through the open window. The path ahead was still uncertain, but he felt that the real test of leadership was only beginning. What he did not yet know was that the next few days would bring an event that would shake the entire village, and force everyone to choose sides in a conflict that could no longer remain peaceful. The days following the community meeting passed with growing tension in the village. Conversations about the factory project had become part of everyday life. At the tea stalls, in the fields, and even outside the school, people discussed the future of their land and their families. Some villagers believed the factory would bring prosperity, while others feared it would destroy the peaceful life they had known for generations. Shankara Vera Prasad noticed that the unity they had built earlier was slowly weakening. A few families had already signed agreements to sell their land. Those decisions created arguments within the community. Some villagers accused him of being selfish, while others argued that everyone had the right to make their own choice. Prasad understood that the situation was becoming more fragile each day. He continued meeting people individually, encouraging them to stay calm and think carefully before making decisions. Mira and Narayana Master also tried their best to keep discussions respectful and constructive. However, an unexpected event soon changed everything. One early morning, a loud commotion erupted near the northern farmlands of the village. Several farmers ran toward the area after hearing unusual noises during the night. When they arrived, they were shocked by what they saw. A section of farmland had been cleared with heavy machines. Trees had been cut down, and parts of the land had been marked with construction signs. It looked like preparation work for the factory had already begun. The farmers were furious and confused. No final agreement had been made by most of the villages, and yet construction activity seemed to have started secretly. News spread quickly through the village. Within an hour, dozens of people had gathered near the site, discussing the situation with anger and disbelief. Prasad rushed to the location after hearing about the incident. When he arrived, he saw villagers standing in small groups, pointing at the cleared land and arguing loudly. Some workers employed by Raghava Rao were also present. They claimed that the land belonged to families who had already sold their property and that the clearing work was legal. But the villagers disagreed strongly. They argued that the work had extended beyond the land that had been sold and had affected nearby farms that still belonged to others. The tension in the air grew quickly. A few angry villagers began shouting at the workers, demanding that they stop immediately. The workers responded defensively, saying they were only following orders. Prasad stepped forward and raised his voice calmly, asking everyone to stop arguing for a moment. His presence helped quiet the crowd slightly. He asked the workers to show documents proving which land had been officially purchased. The workers hesitated but eventually produced some papers. After examining them carefully, Prasad realized something troubling. The documents did show land purchases, but the boundaries marked on the ground did not perfectly match the areas that had been cleared. This meant that some of the work might indeed have crossed into land that had not been sold. Prasad explained this to both sides and suggested that work should stop until the boundaries were verified properly. Some villagers supported his suggestion, but others were already too angry to remain patient. Meanwhile, someone had informed Raghava Rao about the situation. Within a short time, his vehicles arrived at the site. The businessman stepped out of his car with a serious expression. He looked around at the crowd of villagers and then walked toward Prasad. Raghava Rao explained that the clearing work was being done legally on land that had already been purchased. He insisted that any confusion about boundaries would be corrected later. But the villagers were not satisfied with that explanation. Many of them felt that the early construction work was a deliberate attempt to pressure the remaining landowners. Voices grew louder as people began arguing again. The situation was becoming dangerously close to turning into a physical confrontation. Prasad quickly stepped between the groups and urged everyone to remain calm. He reminded the villagers that violence would only weaken their position. He then turned to Raghava Rao and suggested a temporary solution. All construction work should pause until officials from the land department could inspect the site and confirm the boundaries. For a moment it seemed like Raghava Rao might refuse. His pride and authority were clearly being challenged in front of the entire village. But after looking at the large crowd of villagers, he realized that continuing the work that day could create a bigger problem. Reluctantly, he agreed to stop the machines temporarily until an official inspection could be arranged. The villagers slowly began dispersing, though the tension remained strong. Everyone understood that this was only the beginning of a much larger struggle. Later that evening, Prasad sat with Mira and Narayana Master to review what had happened. Mira believed that the early clearing work had been intended to create fear and pressure. Narayana Master agreed. He explained that sometimes powerful individuals tried to create a sense of inevitability. If villagers believed the project had already begun, they might feel that resistance was useless. Prasad felt both angry and determined. The events of that morning had shown him how easily the situation could spiral out of control. But he also noticed something encouraging. Despite disagreements within the village, many people had come together to protect their land when they believed it was being taken unfairly. That unity gave him hope. The next step was to request an official inspection from the land authorities in the nearby town. If the boundaries had truly been crossed, It would provide strong evidence that the project was being pushed forward improperly. Over the next 2 days, Prasad traveled with a group of villagers to submit a formal complaint. The process involved paperwork and long waiting hours, but eventually the authorities agreed to send